Peace, family. Y'all know who it is. It's Bakari Lumumba back once again, the progenitor of LumumbaSpeaks.com, a Black empowerment initiative where we believe that we can gain a competitive advantage for always betting on Black. Doing, once again, a dual stream with Beacon Network, the Pan African social media extraordinaire, and of course, Lumumba Speaks, Black empowerment initiative where we believe we can gain a competitive advantage for always betting on Black. Have a great show today, especially looking for people to tap in as we discuss, should the Black community support P. Diddy? Many of you are aware of the accusations being made against the music media mogul. Many people argue this is akin to the situation with Bill Cosby. So I want to get you all's thoughts on um, what you all think of this situation. Should the Black community support P. Diddy? But before we get this party started, as they say, we want to make sure that we go with some ground rules here at Lumumba Speaks. One, diversity of thought is welcome. So I don't care if you're on the left, on the right, or right down the middle. You have you have the opportunity. We're going to provide space for you to provide your perspective. Number two, no racial epithets of any kind are allowed. No epithets of any kind are allowed, not just racial epithets. This is a site for Black empowerment. And we know that the three ends of Black power are self-respect, self-discipline, and self-respect, self-defense, and of course, self-determination. Ashe, Black power. Number three, facts over feelings, family, facts over feelings. So when we open things up, have the conversation, we want to make sure that we're attacking the argument someone makes and not the person themselves, right? So no ad hominems, right? Uh, Number four, no fundamentally false statements, no fundamentally false statements of any kind. You can provide your perspective. You could say LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, right? LeBron James is the GOAT. You could say Kobe's the GOAT. You could say Kareem is the GOAT. But if you were to make the claim that Jordan's not the GOAT because he only won 4 championships, that would be the fundamentally false statement. So then I'm going to tap in and say, no. Because we don't do that here. My platform will make sure that the information that we're disseminating, even the conversations we're having, are rooted in the facts. And then last but not least, our mission here at Lumumba Speaks is neither to exonerate or vilify, but to challenge conventional wisdom and re-examine what has previously been accepted as fact. So before we get started, I want to go over today's Black History fact, right? Um, it's a rather somber one, but on this day, 221 years ago, Toussaint Louverture was transitioned to the realm of the ancestors, right? As we all know, Toussaint Louverture was a Haitian general and the most prominent leader of the Haitian Revolution. During his life, Louverture first fought and allied with the Spanish forces, the Santo Domingo Royalists, then joined with Republican France, becoming Governor General for life of Santo Domingo, and lastly fought against Bonaparte's Republican troops. As a revolutionary leader, Louverture displayed military and political acumen that helped transform the fledgling slave rebellion into a revolutionary movement. Along with Jean-Jacques Dessalines I, the Overture is now known as one of the fathers of Haiti. And we know his most famous quote is, by overthrowing me, this is after he was captured, you have only defeated the trunk of the tree of freedom. It will grow back because its roots are deep, numerous, and vivacious, right? So we want to make sure that we get some revolutionary love and that the memory of Toussaint Louverture, the revolutionary memory of Toussaint Louverture, of course, will be with us in the work that we do on a diurnal basis, but most importantly on today's broadcast. So definitely want to show some love to the late, great, esteemed ancestor, Toussaint Louverture, right? The one of the fathers of Haiti. So with that said, family, I believe the link is in the description, but so okay. So sister says dumbass question. Okay, well, I want you to tap in and share with us why this may be to you a dumbass question, right? Brent Paul says never, right? Mary Shy, I can't wait for this show. Sister Shy, appreciate it, sister. Make sure you're Mary and not Shy. You're always welcome here. Lumumba Speaks. You spoke up last show, last broadcast, and I think you did a great job. Then of course D1 Beats, but D1 Beats, peace to Lumumba in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. Hey, you said you got that Pan African song coming out, an album coming out. Definitely want to hear it. You know, you have a platform here to promote your album. So definitely looking forward to hearing from you. Go after other groups with the same energy. Most people don't know other groups that handle us. They can't go against each other. So Daily Jerk, Daily, want you to tap in and share what do you mean by that, right? When you say go after other groups with the same energy, right? So I'll provide my perspective. We all know who Diddy is, formerly known as Puff Daddy. Created Bad Boy Records after being fired as an intern, I believe, with Uptown Records, right? Meteoric Rise started off with of course, I think In Vogue, Notorious B.I.G., later came Mace, Black Rob, Shine Burrow, The Locks, Faith Evans, 112. I mean, there's numerous artists. He ventured into, of course, clothing, um, ventured into, of course, he says Daily Jerk says the Jews are not taught to go against each other. Interesting. Most definitely appreciate it. No doubt, brother. So we want to make sure you drop that. And then, of course, we can even have a listening party here on the platform if you don't mind, brother. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you are putting out. So, and then, of course, last but not least, he even had the deal with the parent company of Ciroc. I was reading some articles earlier today, and so he's saying, Brother Daily Jerk says they handle it in their communities. So I want you to tap in and be part of the conversation. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. If you're watching, family, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, like, share, and hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that notification bell. All right. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. You're watching Lumumba Speaks and Be Qualon Network. This is the Door Stream once again, where we're discussing should the Black community support P. Diddy, also known as Puff Daddy. Absolutely, he should be supported by Black people. He hasn't been convicted of anything, but Black people have crucified him already. P.39 says, so definitely want you to tap in as well. Also, if you're watching, make sure you be a blessing to the show. Cash app us at Lumumba Speaks, money sign, dollar sign, Lumumba Speaks, right? And so one of the issues we find was Cassie, his former girlfriend, made some accusations of sexual assault. She made some accusations of being forced to have sexual liaisons or dalliances with male prostitutes. Last but not least, I think there was even a situation where one of the images that helped him on his latest album accused him of unwanted sexual contact. So this is a real issue. I would agree he hasn't been convicted of anything, and we know in this country is innocent to proven guilty, but we know oftentimes with Black people it's guilty to proven innocent, right? The African American or African justice system in America. D1 Beat says Diddy is being made an example of because to me he had many accusations against him for decades, not even including the Tupac death. So tap in, but the D1 want to know what those accusations are. They also know we as the Black community are global branders, right? Many who have argued that, absolutely. There's even a term called African Americanization in terms of the African American influence globally in terms of music and entertainment. But that's a whole conversation for another day when we can talk about the essentialization of African American identity. But I think we got a lot to unpack here. From an article that I read, I believe in the New York Times, it states that Cassie, his former girlfriend, even though they settled a day after she filed her lawsuit, is reportedly working and cooperating with the feds. So that's an issue. We know the feds raided his $1 million mansions in Miami, well, compounds actually, and in Los Angeles. And I believe that accusations were sex trafficking. I think there was even some arguments of child pornography. Don't know if that's the case, but this is something that we really need to unpack. What do we expect from that industry? Christian behavior, this is what is done on these TV shows as well. The question should be why though, right? So Queen Lainey, need you to tap in. The link is in the chat, family. The link is in the chat. The link is also in the description. Once you want to tap in and share with me, should the Black community support Diddy? And I'm going to throw a caveat in. Should the Black community support Diddy if, keyword is if, he's actually guilty of the accusations being made, right? So should the Black community support P. Diddy if he's guilty of the accusations being made? I would argue no. I don't think anyone who does harm to other Black people, particularly in a manner, well, really in any way, particularly in a manner in which one is being sexually assaulted, is worthy of our support, or even I would say my support. So definitely something that we want to consider here. But the question is if he is guilty, right? If he is guilty, if he is actually has done the things that he's accused of, sex trafficking, forcing individuals to engage in sexual escapades against their will, should the Black community support P. Diddy? So that's the question I'm throwing out. Keyword is if he's guilty. Daily Jerk Daily, I see you're commenting a lot here in the comments. in the chat. So definitely want you to tap in. Sister Shy, Sister Mary, I'm gonna say your Sister Mary because you're not shy, right? Want you to tap in as well. Sister Moore, you say that's a dumb question. So tap in and share with us why you believe it's a dumb question. All right. So once again, family, you're watching Lumumba Speaks and Beacon Network. Dual stream. Once again, we're discussing should the Black community, keyword should the Black community support P. Diddy. Brother says, I believe those people were agents. What people are you referring to? That's what I would argue. What people are you referring to? But I think one of the things that is that one would need to consider is, of course, the allegations made by Cassie, the B&U singer, are rather damning, right? Many people would argue, of course, that that is a sign of guilt that he was willing to settle after one day. Um, of course, his legal team argued that settling with her is not a mission of guilt, right? Or even liability or responsibility. We know that was a civil matter, not a criminal one. But according to the reports I've read in the New York Times, Cassie is working, of course, with federal authorities in terms of what I believe is to build a case against him. So that's something we can discuss as well regarding should she be working with them, particularly after he, of course, had a undisclosed settlement. So something to consider. Sister Queen Laney says, the question should be, why are we not supporting him? I think it's sad how the Black community is enjoying his downfall. So, yeah, I want you to tap in terms of what have you seen in terms of social media spaces that would be representative of Black people enjoying his downfall. I'm quite sure in some feminist circles that's the case, right? Off with his head, right? The wicked king is dead, as some would argue. But definitely want to hear what you have to say regarding that. Where have you seen this? And I would argue maybe this is in social media circles, even in some community areas that this is the case. So definitely want you to tap in. So the link is in the chat. Henry Smith says, I think it was all states because Homeland Security has nothing to do with drugs or sex trafficking. Their job is to stop terrorism, and no one was arrested. This is true. I would believe so. That is the job of Homeland Security. Many argue why the Homeland Security, conduct the search on his homes rather than the FBI. So that is something to consider. Hope you are willing to tap in and be part of the conversation. Once again, you're watching a dual stream between Beacon Network, the Pan-African Media Extraordinaire, and of course, Lumumba Speaks, a Black Empowerment Initiative where we believe we gain a competitive advantage by always, keyword always, betting on Black. We're discussing should the Black community, keyword should the Black community support P. Diddy. Many of you are aware of the numerous accusations being made against him. Let me bring up this CNN article, by the way. Yeah, let me bring this up here. Yeah, here we go. Oh, I used the New York Times article first, then we could go to the CNN article. So then the question is, if it was staged, then we need to look at why is that the case, right? Why is it staged? But so here we go. Later that in the fall of 2023, Mr. Combs released his first solo album since 2006, the Love album, Off the Grid. Weeks after it was nominated for a Grammy, the singer Cassie, a one-time Bad Boy artist, filed suit against Mr. Combs, accusing him of sexual assault and repeated physical abuse over about a decade. It was the first in a series of lawsuits filed against Mr. Combs. It is unclear whether they are related to the investigation into his affairs by federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, by federal agents for Homeland Security investigations. Through a lawyer, Mr. Combs has vehemently denied all the claims made against him. The most recent lawsuit was filed by Rodney Jones Jr., a music producer known as Little Rod. He accused Mr. Combs of making unwanted sexual contact and of forcing him to hire prostitutes and participate in sex acts during the making of the Love album. If Mr. Combs thought that after his more than 2-decade foray into various businesses, he would find a safe haven in music, he was mistaken. It seemed that he had gone from I Am King to Cautionary Tale. So that is the New York Times article. Here, then I'll go to the CNN article. Here we go. So once again, November 2023, Combs settled a lawsuit brought by his former girlfriend, singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura, who alleged she was sexually assaulted and subjected to years of repeated physical abuse and other abuses by Combs. The decision to settle a lawsuit, especially in 2023, is in no way an admission of wrongdoing. Ben Blathman, an attorney for Combs, told CNN in a statement at the time. Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims. He is happy that it got to a mutual settlement in which Ms. Ventura the best. Weeks later, at least 2 other civil lawsuits were filed in New York against Combs with allegations of sexual assault, including one filed in December in federal court that also included allegations of sex trafficking. Right, so I think this is what got the feds involved. Sex trafficking would be a federal crime. My thoughts are, if you're bringing up sex trafficking, then of course that brings in organized crime, which there's the RICO statute, and I believe R. Kelly was charged or convicted of organized crime in terms of conspiracy due to the RICO Act. The allegations that the young women that he was having these sexual liaisons with were engaging in what prosecutors argue, was a organized crime because he had men bringing those women to him. So something to consider. Combs states, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Combs said in response to the December suit. I think I skipped something here. Yeah, okay, no, I didn't. Very good. Sick of the allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Combs was accused of sexual assault and harassment in another civil lawsuit filed by a former male employee last month, claims which Combs, through his attorney, denied. Right. So these are the issues that P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, of course, when I was coming up, known as Puff Daddy, these are the issues he's facing. So I want you all to tap in and share your thoughts on should the Black community support P. Diddy. Daily Jug, definitely want to hear from you. I mean, you made some comments I think we really want to unpack and understand at a deeper level, deeper understanding. So you could tap in. I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time, family. And the link should be, keyword should be in the description. Don't be bashful. I want you all to tap in and be part of the conversation. Joel Torres says the first. Definitely want to hear what you mean by that. What do you mean by the first? Right? What do you mean by the first? So tap in, be part of the conversation, family, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit that notification bell for future updates, videos. You're watching Lumumba Speaks and Beacon Line Network. Do a stream where we're discussing should the Black community, keyword should the Black community support P. Diddy. These allegations are aching too, in my opinion. Some of the allegations made against, of course, the now in prison R&B crooner R. Kelly, and similar to that of comedian actor Bill Cosby, right? So some things to consider, right? Some things to consider when we talk about should these individuals be supported in our community, but most importantly, we're talking about P. Diddy because these are issues coming up. We know he's innocent to proven guilty, but we know unfortunately, typically with the African justice system in America, is guilty to proven innocent. There have been some who have alleged in the chat that Puffy has been turned on by the Black community already. Definitely want to hear what you all have to say regarding this issue. So make sure you tap in, be part of the conversation. You're watching Lumumba Speaks and Beacon Line Network here on YouTube. Do a stream where we are seeking to have a conversation regarding should the Black community, keyword should the Black community support P. Diddy. P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, the D, the I, the D, the D, the Y, the D, the I, the D is Diddy, right? Damning accusations. We do know that he sold off his share of Revolt TV. So many argue that maybe was a move to try to distance himself from the company so that the company and the network could still be successful. Henry Smith says Puff was the real life Lady Eloise. So you're talking about the movie Boomerang, right? We bought Ciroc because we thought he owned it. Well, I believe he was in a 50-50 partnership with the parent company of Ciroc. That's what I believe, but I think he filed a lawsuit and they're settling in the manner that the parent company benefited. But maybe that is the case, right? But definitely want to hear from what you have to say. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Want to get the pulse of the community regarding should the black community support P. Diddy? Keyword should the black community support P. Diddy, particularly considering um, the legal system in America, which is supposedly innocent to proven guilty, oftentimes is guilty to proven innocent when it comes to the lives of African people here in the death and decadence and dysphoria of of the United States. Just see, Lady T, you have to ask what has Diddy done for you personally? He has embarrassed our race and preyed upon our young man. Hell no. So, Lady T, I want you to tap in. Definitely want you to expound on those sentiment that you've made. You definitely want you to expound. So, but make sure you subscribe, family. Make sure you subscribe. But definitely want to hear what you have to say. So, when you say preyed on young man, I want you to, of course, deconstruct. Just make sure we are clear on what do you mean by preyed on young man. I know there are a number of individuals in the music industry who took umbrage with some of the contracts, the locks. I believe he was able to gain royalties from them in perpetuity. We could talk about Shine, right? A situation in which many people felt he hung him out to dry. I know Shine stated that he wasn't seeking for Puffy to hold his hand during the trial, but that Puffy's witness, they had different lawyers, but Puffy's witness was making claims about Shine that weren't true. Shine went allegedly, according to Shine, he went to Puffy and said, "Listen, this woman's hurting me." And Puffy said, "Hey, and she helping me though." And he's had an issue with that because he was facing 20 years and Puffy was only facing probation. So that was an issue, right? Talk about Faith Evans, right? We could talk about a number of artists who typically drop one album and then, of course, they're you never hear from them again. Think of Black Rob, G Dep, Carl Thomas, Loon, right? So I mean, the list goes on in terms of the individual's careers that he typically ruins. I can only think of Mace left him, of course. I can only think of maybe B.I.G., Notorious B.I.G., and maybe 112 as groups that had a long tenure with Bad Boy Records and were successful. So something to consider. Andrew Hall says, off topic, Mary J or Alicia Keys, who is more beautiful? Definitely easily Mary. Okay, so yeah, that's way off topic. Puff paid witnesses to testify against Shine. Many have made that argument, right? Many have made that argument. So tap in, family. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. The link is also in the description. I'm going to get you all's thoughts on should the black community support Puffy, right? So I kind of went over, gave a brief history of some of his business dealings in terms of in the music industry. Oftentimes the shady contracts, we know that even the individuals from making the band argued that they didn't make much money, if any, being members of making the band. Some even argue that what that TV show was most famous for was Diddy making, of course, the participants take a 5-mile, make a 5-mile trek or journey, walk from Manhattan to Brooklyn to pick up some cheesecake for him, right? So, I mean, we could really unpack a lot of those things, but my question is, should the black community support Diddy? The legacy says, he uses their hopes and dreams to rob them of their lives, right? So, how so? That's why I want you to tap in, sister. Once again, you don't have to cam up. You can use a pseudonym. So, I want you to tap in and share with me when you say robbing them of their lives, in what way, in what capacity, financially, socially, in what way is he robbing them of their lives? You're watching, family. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe as well. But definitely want to get an understanding here. Let's see here. Brother in the chat says Buddha Love 77. If the allegations are true, if they are true, then no way in the world should we ever support people who sexually assault children, exploit women, and blackmail others, period. I would agree 100%. Buddha Love 77. I would agree 100%, period. Tap in. The link is in the chat. Once again, you do not have to cam up. You can use a pseudonym, which I'm sure you're using. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Let's expound on that a bit more, right? Let's make sure we expound on that a bit more. But I'm with you 100%. If the accusations are true, we should not support anyone who does that. I don't care if they look like us or not, right? I make the argument that we should not oppress our own. That's the position that I take. We should not oppress our own. So I want you all to tap in, family. The link is in the chat. The link is in the description. Tap in, be part of the conversation. It'd be better for you all to talk than me, right? 100%. So tap in. Let's have a conversation regarding should the black community, keyword should the black community support P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Diddy Papa, regarding, particularly in terms of regarding the accusations that he is facing. Right? Many argue that financially he's going to take a toll as well. He is the father of seven children. Seven children. I don't know if people are aware of that, but Puff Daddy has seven kids, four of which are under the age of 18. So I know for one child he pays about $250,000 in child support a year. For one child, he pays $250,000 in child support a year. And so if that is the same for the other three children, that means he pays $1 million in child support a year. So financially, things could be taking a toll as well. So just want to make sure that we are cognizant, aware of that. And we know he lives a lavish lifestyle as well. I know he owns a private jet. And last I read, just to maintain a private jet, the cost is $3.5 million annually. So definitely there are going to be some expenses, right? So something to consider. We shouldn't support Diddy, but we also shouldn't publicly condemn him either. Okay, so Brother Brandon wants you to tap in and share why shouldn't we publicly condemn him, particularly if he's guilty of what's been alleged. So tap in, brother. Once again, you do not have to cam up, and you could use a pseudonym. But I want to hear what you have to say in terms of why shouldn't we condemn someone who is alleged to have what? Sexually assaulted children, exploited women, and blackmailed others, right? So tap in, brother. Once again, this is a space where there is a diversity of thought allowed. And so want to hear what you have to say. P.39, because we don't know if he is guilty. Understood. So listen, a lot of y'all going hard in the chat, right? Tap in, be part of the conversation. Once again, you do not have to cam up, but tap in, be part of the conversation. The link is in the chat. The link is in the description. You do not have to cam up, but I want to hear what you all have to say. So 100% tap in, be part of the combo. Lady T says, if the allegations are legit, he used pedophilia to confuse and traumatize them. No punishment is too great for him. So this is an accusation I think is a bit damning. So this is why I want you to tap in, sister, because I wasn't aware of this pedophilia. And so when you say to confuse and traumatize them, who is them? And then, of course, where are you getting that information from, right? Where was this alleged? Mostly because black folks will talk so bad about our own, and you have other races band together that will try to rehabilitate that person in public. Okay, but brother, I want you to tap in because I really want to have this conversation with you. Love to have this conversation with you. But then the question is, should we rehabilitate a person's image who allegedly sexually assaults children, sexually assaults women, sexually assaults men, exploits and blackmails them? That's the question I would have. Should we be seeking to rehabilitate the image of that person? Why or why not? Right? I know some would argue because he's accomplished so much. The question I would then ask, how do I tap in exactly? The link is in the chat, but so I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and you just click on the link and you can tap in and be part of the convo, right? So the link is in the chat, directly underneath your comment, your question. Tap on the link, then you'll be able to be part of the conversation, right? Little Rod says they went to strip clubs to recruit women. Seriously, right? And so the question is this a situation where they're recruiting women, or are they simply going out and taking groupies home, right? So this is why, the devil's in the details, and we want things to come out, of course, if there is a court case. But these are some issues, right? These are some issues. I've seen the allegations all over the media. So, Sister Lady T, if you could tap in, maybe and then you could come in and share your screen. That way, we will be able to. Maybe you could read that article to the audience. That'd be greatly appreciated. But once again, the link is in the chat, family. Tap in, be part of the conversation, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like button and the notification bell. So these are things to consider, right? Excuse me. Excuse me. So then the question is, are they recruiting women, or are they simply what? Bringing home groupies? I don't know. I do not know. Don't want to know, right? But this is something to consider in terms of when we talk about seeking to rehabilitate a person's public image. Then the question would be, if you are a public figure, you're a noteworthy individual, why would you then engage in this type of behavior? Because you would know that not only would your image and your legacy be destroyed, your reputation be destroyed, but also all the work that you've done. and it negatively reflects on the Black community. So that is something to consider. Read the Little Rod indictment. It's 42 pages. I read it. It's ridiculous. So when you say indictment, that would mean that there are actually charges against him. So are you arguing not the indictment but the lawsuit, right? So I would argue that you're speaking of the lawsuit that Little Rod, or the lawsuit or the complaint, right? But P.39, tap in, be part of the combo. The link is in the chat. I want you to tap in and be part of the conversation, right? So and you can share with us some of the details of the lawsuit. Definitely tap in. Brandon Cave, want you to tap in as well. The link is in the chat directly below the question you asked. Click on the link, enter the studio, be part of the conversation. Want you to do the same, P.39, particularly because I want to get some of the details regarding the lawsuit made by Little Rod. I do know that he stated that he forced him to purchase prostitutes, and that he had unwanted sexual contact with, of course, P.Diddy. So there may be some other details there. And then, of course, we can unpack, have a conversation. Is this someone that we should be supporting? Yay or nay, right? So definitely want to hear what you all have to say regarding this issue. Once again, you're watching a dual stream via Bequalon Network, the Pan-African Media Extraordinaire, and of course, the Mogul Speaks, a Black Empowerment Initiative where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. Also want to share with you all, once again, today's Black History Fact is that 221 years ago today, one of our greatest ancestors, the Spartan Overture, transitioned to the realm of the ancestors. We're talking about the Spartan Overture, of course, one of the fathers of Haiti, along with Jean-Jacques Dessalines, transitioned to the realm of the ancestors. So, Brandon Cave, we want you to turn your camera on very briefly just to make sure you're not trolling. Then I will bring you into the conversation. So if you could turn your camera on while you are in queue, thank you very much, brother. You could turn the camera off, then I will bring you in. Very good. So you can turn your camera off, and then I'll bring you in, brother. All right, very good. All right. Brother Brandon, what say you? You got to turn your mic on. You're muted right now.
How's everybody? I hope everybody's doing good.
Doing well, brother. What's the word?
Not much, man. I mean, talking about this whole thing with Diddy is obviously very popular news.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 sec. I got a bit of echoing. Hold on.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, you need to turn that off in the background while you're in the stream. Yeah, so Big 656 says, all I want to say is everybody talking about P. Diddy, he must be a diabolical mastermind, but to manipulate hundreds of people, I'm mad that he's a billionaire. Did he do it? What did you let? Okay. Architecture Whisperer, Elvis slept with a 6-year-old, but his people still love him. I think she was even younger than that, to be quite honest with you. Plus, Little Rod didn't have a damn chain on. Why did he hang around if he was being harassed? So what do you mean by not having a chain on, right? So P.39, tap in, be part of the conversation. Link is in the chat. Architecture Whisperer. I think Elvis's wife was even younger than that, if I remember correctly. Let me look that up, family. Elvis Presley. Talk about his wife. I want to look this up.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you just fine.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, and there's a lot of echoing going on, so I may lose my position for a moment.
Okay.
Oh man, there's still reverb. Hold on, there's still a lot of feedback.
Okay. Okay, because what I'm looking at here, it must have been somebody younger that he was with. I do remember reading about that. So when we talk about Elvis Presley, but yeah, just make sure we stay on task though. Just make sure we stay on task. We're talking about Puff Daddy because one of the things that typically happens is somebody would say, well, this takes place in other communities, so we should allow in our community. And I would disagree with that. Like, I don't care what other people do. If they want to engage in degenerate, sexually immoral behavior, I don't think that's something we should accept, particularly if this was your family member, your child, your daughter. I don't think anyone would be making those type of claims, right?
Okay, now I got it figured out. Thank you, brother. I'm so sorry. Thank you for your patience.
No, it's all good, brother. Go right ahead.
Okay, because what it was, I still had YouTube up, so I had to close out YouTube, and now
Absolutely.
we're perfectly synced up. So
Yeah.
with that being said, you wanted me to comment basically back on not condemning them in public.
Yes, sir.
My opinion about it is it's nefarious activity. Obviously, it's something that's disgusting. It's something that we all don't support. Obviously, right?
Right.
However, we as Black people within our community, we're very quick to condemn uh, whom we may consider to be leaders. And don't get me wrong, like the actions that they do isn't anything that we all want to stand by. Not at all. But if you look at like the whole situation with TD Jakes and how, just something simple, he said, we're being swallowed. Like that whole thing went out of proportion. You know what I'm saying? They probably didn't even really get the whole sermon to see what he was really talking about. But you could see like how mostly black people, you don't hear this for any other race that were like, who knows what? Maybe okay, Joel Osteen may get a little bit of flack, but it's not as prevalent as you'll see within the black community about our black leaders so often. I feel, not my personal opinion, I could be wrong about this, but we have to stop trying to be the crabs in the barrel. We can't take someone that has prominence in a sense, you know what I'm saying, to a lower level because of mistakes that they made. This is a huge deal. Again, don't get me wrong. This is something that we're all not condoning, but we're so quick to try to make ourselves, and I think this is where it really is that we want to make ourselves feel better, or we want to make other people look better. Look at 50 Cent. He'll say this, that, and the third. I'm pretty sure 50 Cent ain't innocent in any of this stuff too. So it's just not cool to always be
But,
poking
but,
a
but I
finger.
will say this 50 is like that with everybody. He's always saying something negative about people.
That's the part. Actually, that is a problem still, though. Not just saying that this one thing. Yes, you're right. It's his persona. It's what he typically does. But again, it's always why is he always in an attack mode? You get what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you're a man with money. Me, my personal opinion, if I was in 50 Cent's shoes, I wouldn't care to try to talk down about somebody else for what they're going through. Again, I want to be more like Jesse Jackson in that regard, to saying like, okay, here's my spot. This is who I am as prominence. I see this man falling. Let me come to this man's aid. You seen Will Smith at the Oscars slap Chris Rock. How many
Right.
black people came around him to come and talk to him instead of going up on a mic right behind him? It's like, man, if that was me, I would have, you know what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't have tried to condemn him like that in public. Do you hear what I'm saying right now? You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's too much of let's knock this person down a peg. It's too much of, this person looks so terrible. Let's magnify that instead of just saying like, oh man, this dude is really slipping. We need to come to him and talk to him and figure out what's really going on. Or a lot of it, I mean, okay, let's speak in Hollywood in general. Let's not act like Hollywood is this clean. I mean, obviously, we've seen so many producers and things of the nature being put to the spotlight for all the nefarious things that they've done. You know what I'm saying? Too
Right.
easy for too small of things. We're always attacking our own black folks in this regard. It's not even anything that's major. It's always small stuff. This major
Could you provide an example of something small that the black community on a
it could
macro
be
level?
anything. Like to be honest with you, it's like numerous to say. Like it could be any little thing. I mean, okay, not to say small, but like let's look at Tyler Perry. You know what I'm saying? He
Okay.
put on a dress to fulfill the needs for whatever he had his goals for. We don't know if Tyler Perry could come around and be shown as doing something just as disgusting. You get what I'm saying? But we'll poke folk at a man wearing a dress trying to provide for his family and other people. This man has provided a businesses with so many black folks in the industry. But he's laughed at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's too, it's
So
too
let me ask this question
often.
about Tyler Perry. Then we're going to shift back to, of course, P. Diddy.
Sure, sure, sure.
One of the things Tyler Perry did, yes, he was putting on a dress. Many people would argue that that's problematic. Another issue that we tend to find in terms of the issue with Tyler Perry was that he was promoting stereotypes about black people that were created or in conscience during during the minstrel show era.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, so he's making a living, but he's doing so by preparing and promoting black stereotypes.
What you're saying, though, compared to what's being talked about, is completely different.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not
no,
telling
no,
you.
no. But I'm saying that
Mhm.
is the reason why some people, particularly people such as myself, took umbrage with his
Sure,
movies.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
However, that's not the majority of what people will ever say about Tyler Perry. What you make is a valid point.
Okay.
What you
Okay.
say
I
is
hear what you're saying.
absolute,
Yeah.
and I stand by that comment too. I agree. However, again, within mm, a particular subset of our demographic, they will only look at to make fun of rather than try to see like, okay, well, we see this one aspect of him, and as a black community, we really shouldn't agree with that, so we should try to steer towards something more positive. But
Mhm.
instead, it's more like, oh, okay, well, here's his shucking and jiving, so to speak. Let's just poke fun at him as opposed to actually having a discussion with them about it.
Well, but also I think it's important to understand he's a millionaire, so it isn't like he's gonna listen to what we
Most
have to
we're going to
say.
be able to do, right? I mean, he got his
Right,
millions.
man. Right. Yeah, I
However,
got my
who
own
made those millions
movie
is really
studio.
on him, and he has to deal with it, obviously.
Right. So very quickly,
Right.
Sister Tanya says, "Why not? White people do it." So I want you to tap in, Sister Tanya. Let's unpack that because I think one of the issues we have is we shouldn't be looking at other racial groups as a model for behavior, right? Particularly in terms of how do we address deviant behavior. We have our own cultural models of how do we address deviant behavior. So I think that's something to consider, and I think that's one of the reasons, unfortunately, in our community, a lot of children who are victims of sexual assault, it gets swept under the rug. And those children never get justice. They are never able to truly heal from the traumatic experiences they had as a child because we sweep it under the rug and say, well, white people do it, or this is a family member. I say, hell no, they got to go. So that's just my perspective there. But I want you to tap in, just to be part of the conversation. P.Diddy said that Cardi B admitted to drugging and robbing men, and there's been no investigation against her. I would agree with you 100%. It's extremely problematic. I don't like her music anyway. But yes, she admitted to that. She said she was drugging, and robbing men to what? They have studio time. She then came out and said, well, I was doing that to survive. Bullshit. The majority of black people in this country, the majority of people in this country, period, do not engage in criminal activity as a way to make a living. So the whole concept of having to do that to survive is absolutely ridiculous. You do not have to commit crime as a way to make a living. That's a choice. FBA attacked Dr. Cosby before the court case was over. Architectural Whisperer wants you to tap in, be part of the conversation. Untap that, right? Really want you to untap that. You can provide some examples that'd be greatly appreciated. P.39, people are hypocritical because they were invited to a Diddy party. To this day, they break their necks to get there. I think that is true. We know he was known for the white parties in the Hamptons. I'm praying for the brother and all the victims. Brother Marshall, some would argue that that is problematic, hypocritical, right? That you can't be for the for the victim and the perpetrator, right? So just tap in, have that conversation as well. Thank you for the time, my brother. Let's love and so I take it you about to tap out, brother Brandon.
Oh, I thought you was probably doing like a round table kind of thing, like let someone just chime in for a quick high, and then probably
No, you can
pass
stay
the mic
on
to
as long
somebody
as
else.
no, you can stay
Okay,
on for as
I
long
do
as you
that. I do
want.
that. I do that.
Yeah, you can stay on for as long as you want. So, but I think these are some serious issues because it's not just Diddy. This is an issue we have in our community as a whole. Right? And I know what the issue people make is, well, we could deal with these issues internally. We don't want them to become ensnared by the carceral state. We know the criminal justice system is inherently racist at every level, local, state, and federal. So we don't want to turn people in our community over to them. But typically, the accountability in the community is what? What does that accountability look like if it's internal? That's the question I'm asking.
Again, if it's internal, it's just not public. It's not shown to everybody to be. You know what I'm saying? It's not. What's the word I'm really trying to look for? It's not theatrics. We really don't. You know what I'm saying? To condemn somebody is one thing. To like denounce them and all that kind of good stuff, yada yada. That's just someone's just providing sound bites when they do something like that. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's not productive.
Okay. But the question is, what type of accountability takes place if the accountability is takes place at the community level and we don't turn the individuals over to the carceral state?
Well, for one, I think, punishment is important, obviously, right? Like, you just can't get away with doing nasty things like that. That's just terrible, you know? Uh, After that, just rehabilitation in whatever form that works for that particular person for that situation. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to heal. Nobody's perfect. And it's what bothers me is that we all act, not we all, a lot of us act in a fashion as if we're without sin. It's just
Well, but
it's not productive.
I understand, brother. But once again, the question is, what does an accountability look like? What is done to the individual who was engaging in these type of nefarious activities?
Well, if it's criminal activity, they got to go. They got to get locked up. You
Well,
know?
wait. But we were
Mhm,
talking about if it's to be done,
mhm.
what if they are to be held accountable at a community level and not turned over to the carceral state?
If that was a thing, um, wow, that's you know what? That's a honestly, I'm not even sure how I could possibly answer that question because we're not a policed sort of community.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like we don't. If we were a somewhat of a, how can I say, like a not tribe. What is it that I'm looking for? It's we're not our own government. We are, held to the restrictions of what our government does in regards of enforcing laws and things of that nature. If we enforced our own laws, then in that sense, I guess we would, kind of, I don't know, hold them away from doing any sort of production for a specific amount of time until activities are performed to show that he's, not to say rehabilitated, but knows the error of his ways and wants to work harder on not trying to do those things. Now, what exactly would that be? I mean, again, do you
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean
hold them
that's the
away?
question. And the reason I'm asking this question is because people always
Yeah.
say, "Well, we can handle it internally." So I said, "Okay, well, what does that look like?" Brother Shabazz says, "Everyone does this debauchery. But black
Hmm.
people are the ones who lose their wealth and freedom for it. This is a corporate conspiracy. White supremacists are attacking Diddy, and black people are helping." Yeah, so I'm gonna need you to tap in on that one, Brother Shabazz, because we got to unpack that. Because my thing is, what if that was your daughter?
Right.
Right? What if that was your mother, your sister, or your cousin, or little brother that he was doing these things to? Are you going to say, well, we're not going to actually make these accusations because white folks are? I mean, that's the question I'm asking. So I really want you to tap in and be part of the
But
conversation.
you know what? Like, let's put.
Hold on real quick.
I'm sorry.
Brother Derek Willis, I need you to cam up in queue so I can make sure you're not a troller, and then I will bring you into the live. Okay, well, yeah, but this is a conversation for black folks, so I'm not going to be able to bring you in. All right. Uh, yeah. So go ahead, brother Brandon.
What's the name of the not Bruckheimer? Who am I trying to think about? The white guy that with the whole touching boys and all this other stuff. I can't think of his name, but I mean, he lost his position. Yes, he still acquires wealth in some regard, but there was protections that he did for himself. You know what I'm saying? I think if we're going to talk about, let's say, like the white community in that regard of like when they get in trouble and why they're
Mhm.
able to attain assets, it's because they've set up protections for themselves to be able to do so. Diddy, I would honestly assume he has those same sort of protections. I mean, we've seen him already, posting back on social media after when he was chased down by the FBI. So he
Right.
obviously has the right lawyers to say what he needs to do for when and where he needs to do it. So I wouldn't assume to say that black people are the only folks that lose out on it to a certain degree. There's a lot of black folks that probably aren't knowledge to know how to protect themselves.
Mhm. So this is the question I would ask, right? And I think you made a good point there. So the question I would ask, well, if black people are only people who are being held accountable for these nefarious acts, the sexual acts, then
Mhm.
why engage in them?
That's the thing.
Right? I mean, I ain't running around touching little kids or forcing women to have
Right.
sex with me or grabbing
Right.
men by their genitals.
I mean, you see R. Kelly right now, he locked up, for all the foolish stuff he did.
So it's Harvey
So
Weinstein.
it's hard. Exactly. There's still ways for him to obtain money though. But again, it's too okay. That is an example of itself. Harvey Weinstein was never personally interviewed for his actions, but R. Kelly was. It's like they have to make a show about it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. So, and so let me get to some of these comments, but I think you're doing good here. So, Brother Shabazz says, what criminal activity did he do? So, of course, this is only allegations, but it is alleged that he engaged in sexual assault, sex trafficking. One sister said pedophilia, and of course, blackmailing. Right? I think there's even an argument being made that the sex trafficking was tantamount to a RICO, so organized crime. Architecture whisper. I need you to show me your face on camera. Need to make sure you are not trolling. Then I'll be able to bring you into the live. Okay, very good, very good. So you can turn your camera off. You can turn your camera off, then I will bring you into the live. Yes. So then we see here, he will be shunned, ostracized by the community if there is real evidence against him. Yes, Diddy ain't the only sicko with money. Illuminati run these rich people. God shows mercy and love. Who are we not to forgive? Because we all have done things we are ashamed of. I'm just hope that he turns away from wicked ways. I'm not condoning his actions. I understand that. However, from a African cultural lens, right? What we know is that everyone is held accountable in traditional African culture. By traditional African culture, I mean African culture independent of European and Arab influence. Sister Trina, you can turn your camera off. I got you, sister. You can turn your camera off. So something to consider there, right? Diddy is just a player in Illuminati. Says, I don't blame Diddy because the USA is a very sick, twisted society. But see, I think that's a wrong-headed argument, right? Because irrespective of the society that the United States is, you don't see people running around sexually assaulting people. The majority of people don't do that. So you still have to be held accountable for your actions, irrespective of the society that you live in. So I would definitely disagree with that. I would be ashamed of her if that was my daughter. So, Brother Shabazz, want to know what you mean by that? You date a man that long and turn around and extort him. So that is an argument that people are making, that she extorted him. Some would argue that she was in a relationship with him when she, of course, was his boss because she was signed as an artist, the bad boy, and I think you're talking about Cassie. And then they were in a relationship. So they would, I guess the argument from a legal standpoint would be, if I broke go with him, if I told him no, he could have ruined my career. But I would argue she didn't have much of a career to begin with, if you want to be honest, right? We're in Babylon. They won't get promoted and put on unless they engage in debauchery. So Pro Woman, want you to tap in as well, be part of the conversation. The link is in the chat. Once again, you're watching a dual stream here on the Moomba Speaks in the Beatline Network. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Make sure you hit the notification bell. So, Brother Brandon, I'm going to pass it to you, and then we go to Architecture Whisperer and Sister Trina.
I think, wow, there's so much that's been said that you could agree with, and it's stuff that you could be like, I get it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hypocrisy to, the man, that's being accused right now. Someone said, if you was invited to his party, you'd be one that wanted to be there. Yeah, I'd say I'd be one too. I would love to have attended something like that, but me, I think every person is different. Some people may want to go in attendance to kind of like conduct business. Some people want to go for the debauchery. You know what I'm saying? So, it just depends on where your mindset is. And that's to say about Diddy, where's his mind in regards to these so-called, parties? Like, is it business? Is it business and pleasure? Is it strictly pleasure? You know what I'm saying? No matter what, I mean, gosh, you should never do any sort of sex trafficking or anything like that, kids or even adults. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're too rich for that. I mean, you don't see Denzel Washington and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. You never know.
Right. Architecture Whisperer, go right ahead.
Yes, okay. My problem with this type of thing with Diddy and Cosby and even Michael Jackson is that before all the facts are even heard, people are willing to jump on the wagon and condemn these people just based on the slightest accusation. I think it's best to wait till all the facts are heard, everything's been vetted, and the truth is known. Also, with like Cosby, what happened with him is that these women voluntarily got involved with him, and same with Diddy, and then later on decided to turn back and extort him for money or whatever.
Right. Now, one of the accusations being made against Puffy is that some of these women were being sexually assaulted. So it was against their will.
That's what they always say, but it's always years later, they start complaining about this, and you know, it's hard for him to actually deny it. In that case, he can't defend himself.
Like there's no actual evidence.
Right, exactly. That's how it always has been with Cosby, with Michael Jackson, with any of the cases I can think of right now. It's always been women that say things that can't be proven.
Now I will say this, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, so don't
Okay.
be upset with me. But there is literature research that suggests that individuals who are victims of sexual assault typically do not reveal the assault because they are ashamed of what took place. And so they
Well,
can go years without telling anyone because of the shame regarding being victimized.
well, in all the cases I can think of, even including Trump, people that are ashamed of their being victimized always want to get money. They're not ashamed to ask for the money.
Okay. So you would view that as problematic and particularly an incentive to make these accusations.
I think they should make the accusations if they made them in a timely manner, and they were able to, somehow verify it, or at least when a person's raped, they have physical evidence that they can bring forward.
That's true sexual assault.
Okay,
Because
sorry, yeah,
we
right.
don't want to get a strike.
Gotcha. So when that happens, there's physical evidence they can bring forward. If they bring it forward in a reasonable time, it's still, available to be analyzed. If they wait for years and don't bring any evidence, and then want money for it in return for this, it makes it very questionable, at least in my mind.
Okay. And I understand that 100%. 100%. I actually would agree with you. I would agree. Sister Trina, what are your thoughts?
I think anybody that's abusing people in general, but in the Black community, if you're abusing, sexually abusing, or physically abusing other Black people, you need to go. Because this stuff has been going on in Hollywood. I call it Hollywood for so long. The house of cards is coming down, and I'm glad it's coming down. Because all these drugging people, sexually abusing people, physically abusing people, making people got to do this and that just so they can get a record deal. It's just ridiculous. It just has to stop. And everybody needs to be brought down to justice. I don't really care what gender they are either. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
I agree with that, sister. In the past, in our community, those sort of things didn't happen, and it was considered to be nasty to do that kind of thing. I mean, going back, like I'm older than you, going back a number of years, like in our grandparents' time, that kind of thing was not heard of. It was just considered to be disgusting, and it was not part of our culture to behave in that manner in general.
Okay.
We try to do like what they do, and it doesn't work that way when you're Black. You can't do what they do.
And what are you referring to?
We get caught faster than them.
I think besides even the fact of saying like if we can or cannot get away with it, I think overall this country is obviously catered for a particular demographic. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we're held to a much higher standard than any other race truly is. Is there any excuse behind any of the things that we do? No, of course not. And do other races get away with it? Absolutely. However, my whole thing is the whole public shaming behind it. Like, I just don't see any benefit to anybody by, let's say specifically famous people that have status. Like, y'all should just stay out of it. Like, it just makes you look like a crab in a barrel. That's just my opinion on it.
Good.
Go ahead.
Well, that's basically my comments. I'm just listening to the other comments now.
So yeah, the brother in the comment says Trump was on tape saying I grabbed them in the crotch. I'm rich and still got to be depressed. Well, yeah, he said that you could, and when you were rich, you could do those things, could do those type of things. And now it says now more blacks are supporting Trump, but want to put Diddy under the jail. So something to consider. But I don't know if well, Trump has been accused of. I don't believe he's been accused of sexual assault, but we do know he's committed adultery. So those are. I don't think those are. I think that's
no. What he did was protect himself. He, make him do NDAs and things like that. That's why he paid.
Right.
What was it, Stormy Daniels?
Right.
So he paid her to stay hushed. And even when it came to light, because a clause was written and she signed on it, there's nothing further that can happen. It's like as if it's saying it was all consensual. But is it truly? Like for a lot of the people that he's probably done that to? I doubt it.
Right. So something to consider. Yes, I know it is sexual assault, but he stated that because you're rich, you could do those type of things. He didn't actually state that he had done those things. Right. He just said when you're rich, you could do these type of things. Right. So and it's not like
no. What he said is that I would go and I would grab him by the crotch, the real word that he used, and I can do that because I am rich. That's what he really said.
Right. But he never said that he actually did that.
No, he did say that. That was the statement that he said that was recorded. He didn't know he was being recorded, but the whole statement that he says, like, I would go up and I would grab them. That's what he was saying. He was saying you could. He said I would grab them by the crotch.
I'm going to pull it, see if I can look it up.
Yeah, I think you're right. But Trump is not any role model anyway, so it doesn't matter really.
Well, it's more to the point the person was trying to say.
So here we go. I got it, family. Here we go. It says later referring to Zucker, he says, I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet, just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they'll let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
I get what you're saying. And that's not to say it's semantics, but if he's going to say something that bold, I guarantee he's probably done it before.
Well, okay, but all I'm saying is he said that's what you can do. He didn't actually say that he did it. And yes, Starlight says NDA doesn't protect criminal behavior. But the issue that he was engaging in, that Trump engaged in, was he was trying to protect the fact that he was committing adultery. Not there was no allegation of sexual assault with Stormy Daniels or other white woman who was a Playboy bunny.
Right.
So, Sister Shire, you definitely marry. I want you to tap in, be part of the conversation. So, yes. All right, Architecture Whisperer, you can turn your camera off. Yeah. So just want to make sure we're dealing with facts here. We don't want to make any claims that are not factual because it hurts my credibility on my platform. So P.39 definitely want you to tap in and be part of the conversation. Though want you to tap in and be part of the conversation. We're discussing should the Black community support Diddy. And so what I think was really disconcerting to me is for people to say, well, they do it, so it shouldn't be a big deal. We should deal with it internally. So the question I'm going to ask Architecture Whisperer and Trina Jackson is, if this issue is to be dealt with internally in our community, how would that person be held accountable? What does that accountability look like? Community accountability look like?
Well, I think that if you have a family network, a friends and family network, those are the first people that should be addressing the issue. They should be the ones that come to the person and talk to them about it and explain that it's not acceptable, it's disgraceful, et cetera, not strangers at the beginning, but the friends and family should be the ones that approach them.
Okay, but what does that look like? Well, actually, no, I would disagree. One, from a culture, we look at our history as a people, your friends and family are the ones who hold you accountable. It's the community. Because if your friends are going to hold you accountable, it isn't going to really be any accountability. Right? So we want to talk about leadership, not likership. But once again, what does that accountability look like? What is done regarding, because everybody says this, oh, don't take them to the white people. Don't take them to the coastal state. Their prisons, their justice system. Then the question is, how do we hold people accountable? What is done? What are the actions that take place?
Good question. It seems that people can approach them. Like you have friends and family, and then some leaders that can approach them and talk to them. They should be able to generate an apology and so make some kind of reparation or whatever to solve the issue before it gets to the wider community. I
Well,
mean,
I would argue talking to somebody isn't accountability.
okay, what would be accountability in that case?
You're asking me.
Yeah, I'm curious.
There were a number of things. He would have to be put in our prison. He would
Mm.
be stripped of all his resources. There would be maybe a physical accountability that would take place.
That sounds pretty extreme.
But sexually assaulting someone is extreme.
That's true. I think that if
I got children. That's
Yeah,
extreme as hell to me.
I've got 3 children too, and I would say that if a person was able to make financial payment or something, they shouldn't be destroyed as a person, but make some sort of payment, similar to how you do with.
But this is why I push back on that, because we even find that in the Bible, where
I know.
if you sexually assault someone's child, you give them 50 shekels of silver, you can marry the person. So I'm not into people paying their way out of being held accountable. Absolutely not.
Well, maybe have them flogged publicly. I don't know. That'd be pretty embarrassing. Pay some money and get whipped in public. That might be pretty bad.
Actually, you know what? When it comes to per se punishing, that's going to be a public thing. It's not going to be within the community thing. So all assets and things of that nature, should it be seized? Absolutely. Because it's criminal activity. It's criminal behavior. You have to be punished. You have to be setting an example for someone that's going to break these types of laws or these types of ethics. Something serious has to happen so that we don't encourage the next person to think that it's okay to do it.
That's a good point. But like we said earlier, some of these claims are tenuous. They really are not firmly established as being completely factual. And there's no proof in some cases. So you can't strip somebody of all their resources based on what someone said.
Well, again, proof innocent until proven guilty. I'm only speaking of if and when it is determined that this person actually created these acts. In the between time of the accusation, should anything be done? No. Because anybody could be accused of anything. You could be, we have so many black men being accused of being deadbeat fathers. And that's unproven, and they still get punished. And they come when a child turns 18, he was never the father. So, you know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things that can happen in the between time. It has to be something that's tangibly, sound to say, this is what happened. This is how it went down. This is why he's guilty. Once when that's established, then you go ahead and assess punishment.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because you need to establish it firmly. And also, you wouldn't want to destroy the person completely. Here's my
thing. My thing is, if a person's committing sexual assault, if someone is actually sexually assaulting someone, I'm for that person being destroyed completely.
I
actually am. And real quick, Brother Shabazz says the victim can sue, but the state can't take your money because you commit sexual assault. Understood. Yes, that's true. But we're talking about not the state. We're talking about if the community was to hold the person accountable, what would that look like? So that's what we're referring to, not the state.
I still think a stiff penalty is good enough. I wouldn't want to see someone destroyed with no chance of redemption. I mean, someone like Diddy, for example, has worked for decades to get where he is. And he made some errors, perhaps, and should be punished for them. But to totally, completely destroy him, I think is excessive.
If you are engaging in sex trafficking, which is sexual slavery, which is something that our sisters and brothers, our ancestors experienced, I would be open to that person becoming a vagabond, meaning they are sent to the desert and they have to fend for themselves. I would be in agreement with that.
Wow.
It's a very fine line to cross, though, to take someone's wealth per se on accusation.
Right.
All I'm saying is to make sure that it's properly assessed.
If anyone in our community, if we talk about community justice, because we know one aspect of accountability in terms of an African criminal justice system, right, in medieval Africa, was a person was excommunicated, and they would have to leave the community and figure it out on their own. How do we do it? So that would be something I would argue. This person is sent to the desert, right at the Florida Everglades,
I
and
mean, but that's
figure it out.
virtually the situation. Because I mean, look, Diddy got accused, and we all shunned him. He's in a
No,
virtual.
but not virtually. I'm talking about actually, physically, spatially. You're in the Everglades or you are in the Sahara Desert.
Right.
Figure it out. Not virtually.
Wow.
This man right now is on. He took his private jet and he's in Antigua. Not
I'm not
virtually.
gonna be in your court, dude.
But that's
I'm not
so
gonna
funny
be
because he
in
did
your
that
court.
himself. He sought sovereignty, right after being accused. So it's like, like can we kick him out or can he just go? It's like almost two different things.
Well, Sister Mary, I have someone in my family that sexually assaulted someone, and that person is dead to me. So that's my position. Particularly if you're harming children, you're sexually assaulting folks, you are sex trafficking. If this is true, if it's true, right? I mean, I don't want to hear it. You dead to me. Get him up out of here. Put him in the Everglades. You sexually assault an alligator or something like that. Make it happen.
I think we look at a precedent. Way back in the '60s, there was Roman Polanski, who was a producer, and he had to leave the country, and he left the country. Has never been able to come back. He has his
about that, yeah.
Yeah, he spent the rest of his life in Europe. He couldn't come back to the U.S. Although he kept his resources, he wasn't able to ever come home. So that kind of thing might be viable, I think, instead of
no. But he's living in comfort in another country. No,
but he can't come home. He can't come home though.
Doesn't matter, but he's still living good. I'm talking about you need to be in a desert wasteland. I ain't talking about you leave America and you move to Toronto and you living in a penthouse. No.
But even look at Woody Allen. Like, didn't he marry like some?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But once again, we're focused on Diddy. We're talking about Diddy, Puffy, Diddy, P.Diddy, Papa. We want to keep it focused.
Well, Diddy has a long way to go before he's proven guilty of anything. So I think any action against him now is premature. He has a long way to go to have his rights fully expressed in a legal setting. So anything done to Diddy now, I think, is premature. And he may have done it. Yeah.
Yeah, fully premature. Again, there's a due process that needs to encounter, just like how you're saying. What if if he is accused?
Yeah.
Take his dick off. I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So you mean once and if he's found guilty?
Once found guilty, then yeah, all bets are off. And
Well, let's look at the case of Bill Cosby. He was found guilty in a court, but the process was corrupt.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure who finds whom guilty. Or that kid that went up there and shot somebody. What's his name? Starts with the B. The kid had an AK. Went out there and anyway, the judge found him not guilty, and he was totally completely guilty. So the process that we're looking at, the legal process we have is not one that's really honorable and just. So we have to have a process.
Like when we compare, and it is kind of, this is why we use a precedent of the racist, is because it's not equitable. And that's kind of like my point that I'm saying altogether is like, in this inequity of justice, we're still so quick to condemn our own as opposed to seeing it through.
Good point. I agree.
And that's why I think it's important that you don't engage in these types of behaviors.
Yeah, that's important.
Yep. Well, that's where the friends and family come in. The culture shouldn't be permissive in that way.
Okay.
And also remember, we don't have power like that. So when you don't have any power, they can get you faster. It's just that Puff Daddy's rich, but he's not. We're not a community like that, so we don't control our politics politically like that. So they can just get us like that.
But I don't see what that has to do with the situation.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see what that has to do. I don't give a damn what the politics is, right? If you are sexually assaulting people, keyword is
that's true.
I don't give a damn about the politics or controlling the community. We should be wanting to harbor and protect someone who is allegedly or let's say the person is, whoever it is, doing things like that.
Yeah, that's true. But I was just saying they just go after us because they know going to go after us faster. But like I said before, you're right, because I'm just tired of all this stuff going on in Hollywood. I call it Hollywood, and when you're doing stuff like that, you just need to go. You just really all of them need to go. Just
Yeah, so no, I don't give a damn if we were 1 billion strong with the UNIA. Nah, you doing something like that? Get them up out of here.
Yep, I agree.
Get them up out of here. And just to be honest here, when we talk about traditional African culture, once again, African culture, independent of European Arab influence, we had the death penalty.
Well, we haven't got that now, but that's true. Death penalty is a great deterrent, but we haven't got that now.
So I mean, so just something to consider. So people mentioned Kyle Rittenhouse, but we're not going to discuss
Kyle,
that.
Yeah, that's his name.
So just something to consider. But I don't think we should be providing grace or protection for individuals who are engaging in sexual assault and or sex trafficking. Literally. And I think that speaks to our values if we're willing to provide grace and protection for individuals who are engaging in that type of behavior.
We shouldn't provide protection. I agree with you on that. It should definitely be it should be ostracized. I agree with you 100%.
So yeah, there should be a complete repudiation, not only of that person, but I would even argue this is going to be a bit of a stretch, but maybe possibly even their humanity.
Well, I think the problem with the culture right now, contemporary culture, is that it's too permissive of all kinds of activities. So no one really cares to draw the line anywhere on anything. You can do whatever you want, pretty much, and no one's going to speak against it.
Yeah, I think you got a point there, brother. I think you got a point there. I really do. Extremely permissive, right? So how do we solve that problem as a community?
Well, I'm going back to the very basic situation is the family itself has to raise their children differently. You can't change adults. I don't think. I think that you start with the children. Yeah, the children are the ones that we can focus on, because people that are already adults now, they are what they are. But the children are the people that we can do something with.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You talk about the permissive nature of the community. I would presume that you're arguing that many of these values or negative values allowing this type of deviant behavior take place in the home. It begins in the home.
Well, I think that the prevailing philosophy is nihilism, where nothing has any meaning. You can do whatever you want, and it's based on personal hedonism. Everything can be done. Even goes down to go to the abortion, where if you want to, you can sacrifice your own child if it's going to make your life better. So there's no value in anything. No one has any value in anything. So in the home, the kids talk back to the parents. The kids do this. The kids do that. You have to have some kind of a structure to guide the younger generation. You can't be allowed just to run wild like that.
And I agree with you 100%, brother. So the question I'm asking, in these households, who typically is leading this household?
I think that right now there's a problem with that. In the past, it was a little more structured, but there's a problem with that now, because the dynamics between men and women at the top are troubled. There's trouble there. So you haven't got a united front to raise your children if you have husband and wife.
But the question is very simple. Who's leading these homes where this type of deviant behavior is being allowed?
Don't want to say that, but I'd say that.
No, because you put it out there, brother. You put it out there, so I'm gonna need you to answer the question. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're using a pseudonym, and you are what? You don't have your camera on, so you can tell us. You could give us an answer.
Okay, I think that it's homes where the parents themselves have no values or ethics
that's not what I asked you, brother. Come on now. Who is leading the household? Come on now. Come on, I'm gonna nail you to the wall, brother. Come on now.
Oh man, you're gonna get people angry at me. I can't.
Nobody knows who you are. I need you to answer the question.
I'd say it would be homes that haven't got two parents.
So that still doesn't answer the question. Who is leading the household? You're being evasive right now.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. When the child is not being properly raised, the child is leading the household. He's leading himself.
So which parent is leading the household?
If I say it, I'm gonna be under attack immediately. I'm sure.
No, you're not. No, you're not, because I'm looking at the comments and everybody's saying what you don't want to say already, including the women.
Okay. Well, I'd say it'd be single parent household. Unfortunately.
No. What gender of the parent is leading the household?
It's usually most single parent households are led by women. Unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you. And everybody's saying it in the comments. And brother, it's like pulling teeth to get you to admit the truth.
It's true. It's sad but true. And I guess part of this.
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that if men and women can work their problems out, then the children will be much, much better off. I mean, that's where it all has to start. It's got to start with the parents.
Well, so here's the issue. A lot of people would argue that the reason why this is taking place because a lot of women nowadays don't want to raise a child and have a household in which there's masculine male leadership holding them accountable.
Well, I've just noticed, I think that is part of the psyop that's being promoted against our people, basically, to divide the sexes. The sexual war isn't really occurring in all parts of society. If you go to like an upper middle class or upper class society, it's much less common than it is in our society, because they have more of a safety net, more of a structure. Whereas our society is constantly a promotion of the men against the women. Black women are doing better than black men. All this stuff to create division.
Right. Brother Mufasa, what say you?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear me. I don't got my mic today, but
I can hear you.
Well, number one.
But could you speak up a little bit more if possible?
Let me do this. All right, can you guys hear me a little bit more?
Much better now.
Yeah, it's gonna have this background noise though, but yeah, number one, there is no community, so we can kind of kill that. I used to believe in that whole thing, like, yeah, we can't be turning them over to the crackers. We got to do it in the community, but that's not realistic. There's no such thing. I mean, these people have to be turned over to the state. And in some instances, if the state doesn't do enough, then after that, you know what I mean? Maybe we can do some kind of extrajudicial stuff, but
So what you're saying is you aren't advocating for vigilantism.
No, not initially. Okay. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes you may have to do it because I'm not going to.
But first step, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to act like I don't know what people are talking about. You know what I mean? We live in an unjust system, and the criminal justice system is totally, unbalanced. But I would argue a big part of that, though, is like in your state, at least you have to be politically engaged and civically engaged on who these people are. You know what I'm saying? That are passing out these convictions. Who are these judges? Who are these district attorneys? These are things, especially in areas where it's a large black population. We got to be civically engaged with that stuff. Because one thing I used to do that I don't really do anymore is just totally cede anything that's U.S. government to white people. Like, nah, we're citizens. We're part of the government like everybody else at the end of the day, like we'll say, oh, yeah, we got to build schools, like we built all these schools. The schools in your neighborhood you built. So go there and make them teach what you want them to teach. You know what I'm saying? Or leave the country, which we're not going to do. So, all this talk like we're not Americans, it just doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, we're here. And we got to politically engage here where we are, where our tax dollars are going. Right. So these people should be turned over to the state. And I know you and we have a tendency to say this, especially the conservatives amongst us, that'll say, "Oh, it's not about other people. We just need to worry about us." No, but it is about other people because there's two things at hand here. There's what he's doing, and then there's the way he's being treated, right, by the system. And the way he's being treated by the system is more my business than what he's doing personally. What he's doing personally with these people, that is an issue. But the way the system treats him in comparisons,
if he's doing something that's illegal.
it is an issue, but it's a bigger issue the way they treat him, because that same thing could be done to me. You see what I'm saying? Like if they're unfairly targeting him because he's black, that's something that could happen to me. You know what I'm saying? So they're both an issue. Crime against the community is an issue also, but it's also an issue if the system is targeting black men, right? And then we can point out other people, and it's like, wait a minute, why are they not doing to this guy? But then when we point to the other people, you're saying like, oh, no, let's just focus on the black people. I don't care what they're doing. Well, I do care what they're doing, because the same people who are kicking down Diddy's door with tanks and all that stuff should be kicking these people's door down. So we got to have both conversations. We definitely have to have both conversations, because at the end of the day, Diageo, P. Diddy sued Diageo. And now Diageo pushed the button, and you're seeing all this stuff happen at the end of the day. P. Diddy was a shill.
Also, you got to tell me, do you have any evidence to substantiate that, bro?
No. I have no evidence to substantiate it. But it's a conspiracy theory, and I feel strongly about it. Yeah, and what I said was a fact. Now, what I said was a fact in terms of the chronology, right? After this, and then all of a sudden we're seeing these things. Now, did they do it? I have nothing to substantiate that, you know. But it's a hell of a coincidence, my book. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been doing all these things for all this time. This is what they allege, right? He's been doing this stuff for years, and they got allegations going back to Biggie's times, right? And then all of a sudden, after this fallout with this major corporation, then all of a sudden, all this stuff is just hitting the wall. And then what we'll do is we'll say, oh, don't worry about them other folks. Did he do it or not? You see what I'm saying? And play right into the hands of these white people who just want to use us up, throw us away, and then take the wealth back. When all the smoke clears, they'll take all that wealth and all that money, right? And then they'll get another black person to do the same thing.
So I'm gonna say this. Two things. One, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care about what white people are doing if they're doing harm to their own people. I would take issue and umbrage with what Diddy's allegedly doing if it's true, because he's harming other black people. The second issue is in terms of the lawsuit that you're speaking of. The lawsuit ended with the company retaining 100% of all the wealth and proceeds of the former agreement that they had. So there would be no incentive for them to go after him, because they actually won in the court. They won when they went to court. So then what would be the need to destroy Diddy when they came out victorious in the civil suit?
Which court case is that?
If I could bring it up. So give me a second.
You know, I just want to interject here. I was thinking that there's a similar profile to many of the cases. Diddy, Michael Jackson, Cosby. It all happens that there's always a large financial treasure to be taken from the target person. In Michael Jackson's case, it was that huge catalog he had, which he eventually was liquidated. And then in Diddy's case, I'm sure he has an empire that they could find a way to begin to tear apart after this case begins to gain steam. So, and in Cosby's case, they were after his money as well. I think that's part of the reason for targeting these individuals, because they've gotten to be so big and powerful that they make excellent targets.
But I think one of the issues is, why are you, if you are powerful and you're black, you're African, why would you put yourself in such a position by engaging in these type of heinous acts?
I think someone
that makes no sense to me.
No, if someone has been rich for years and years and years, they feel special. They just lose touch with reality. I mean, if a person's been rich for a long time, they aren't thinking that they can be harmed because they can afford lawyers, they can afford whatever they need to protect themselves. They don't realize that they're exposed.
Yeah, I don't know, man. To me, I feel like that's what this beast is doing. This is what oppression looks like. You had I remember Suge Knight, Jay Prince, Irv Gotti have a meeting about setting up black distribution, and then all of a sudden they all get Fed cases. It's like, can we prove it and tie it to these corporate entities? I can't. But I believe there's foul play. It's way too convenient. You know what I'm saying? That they're always shutting down these avenues for us to make this real wealth.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like to me. They just take these people and use them.
And my retort to that would be, they all caught Fed cases, right?
Yeah.
And the only person I know, one person was found not guilty. That was Irv Gotti. The others actually were found guilty. So my thing is, I'm not going to defend or take up for someone who's engaged in a criminal activity. I don't give a fuck what tells them.
No, I mean, and so they'll see to it that the people that they use will be criminals. They'll see to it that the people they use will be individuals that they can tear down at any given time. So those of us who are clean will never get those opportunities. And then they'll have dirty people. And then as soon as they go, they'll just give somebody like Lumumba a voice or something like that to tear black people down so they can continue to run their scam.
Hold on, wait. So you said I'm tearing black folk down?
You're tearing them down. I don't think you're wrong for tearing these individuals. That you're saying if you do something wrong. No. Well, you're tearing them down, right? But I think your point is, if you're guilty of what you're accused of, then you should be torn down, right? But what I'm saying is, they know that.
I never said that.
You weren't saying you've been saying it this whole time. You saying
No,
if
what
you've
I
actually
said
done these
was
things.
I said they should be what? Excommunicated, made a vagabond, and have to live in a desert wasteland.
Yeah, I mean, you just used a lot of words to say tear them down.
No. I said they should be excommunicated, made a vagabond, and forced to live in a desert wasteland. That does not tear somebody down. That's not browbeating someone. That's excommunicating someone, which is congruent with our historical and cultural personality regarding criminal justice when someone engages in nefarious acts.
We just gotta agree to disagree. I would interpret that as tearing them down.
Well,
You're going into more detail.
No, Brother Mufasa, I'm not responsible for your interpretation, but I am responsible for what I say. And that's not what I'm saying.
Do you interpret that? I can't see your name. I think it was Architecture. Do you interpret that as tearing a person down by making them a vagabond and excommunicating them?
Well, Lumumba and I talked about that a bit earlier. We had a little bit different perspective on that. Like, I felt that a person should not be completely destroyed, and he felt they should be. So we have a little bit different perspective on that.
But I was asking, do you think would you interpret that as tearing a person down if you do those things to a person?
If you physically do those things to a person, yes.
Yeah. All right, so that makes two of us then.
Okay, but I'm still not responsible.
No. I'm not going to be. I'm not accusing him of anything. He's bringing out some ideas. Bringing out an idea doesn't mean he's out there tearing someone down. He has an idea, perspective on this. So that's everyone can have an idea about something, but he hasn't torn anyone down. My problem with the whole thing is really the system itself. Who does the judging? Who analyzes the case? Like the Kyle Rittenhouse, the judge there was so clearly corrupt. It was like you could see it right through the TV. So if you have the corrupt system adjudicating the case, then there can't be justice.
Well, but I'm not going to allow us to move the goalposts because we're not dealing with the system. We're talking about a person's personal behavior. Irrespective, this is what I'm saying. Most black people know that the criminal justice system is inherently racist at every level, local, state, and federal. If I go out and then sexually assault a 12-year-old girl, I don't want to hear shit about no damn criminal justice system being racist. The issue is I sexually assaulted somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't run that game over here.
No, okay. I hear that, but let's get everybody though. Let's get Woody Allen and all the rest of them. Let's get everybody.
Shakespeare wrote those sonnets to 13-year-old girls. Shakespeare and Milton wrote those sonnets to young girls, and no one has said anything bad about them. So the culture is treats us a little bit differently.
So once again, you're moving the goalposts. I don't care about the culture. I'm talking about our behavior. I don't care how the culture treats us if I'm sexually assaulting people. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Because we keep moving, well, you're with the race and what they do and how they treat us ain't got nothing to do with you climbing up on some 12-year-old.
It doesn't, but it has to do with other things. Yeah, it has to do with other things, though. Like, say, it is important. Like, so what happens is these things come up, and then people like you kind of do this, but no, we can't take them off trial. Like, Diddy can be on trial, and the system can be on trial at the same exact time. It's nothing wrong with doing both simultaneously, right? And then we'll deal with Diddy once he's convicted. Then we'll deal with him. Say what?
We can't put the system on trial. So P Funk 100 says P Diddy is in our neighborhoods. Muck Shakespeare.
No, I mean that's how they want us to think, though. That's what I was trying to articulate a second ago.
Shakespeare been dead for 400 years. Why are we talking about him?
Oh yeah, I don't know about Shakespeare, but the people that's here today.
Okay.
Yeah, we talking about what's going on in our community today, and we know that we have an issue in our community where we have people in our communities providing cover and refuge for people who are sexually assaulting children. We all know it.
That's why I said friends and family have to be the ones that approach them first, because they're the ones that know what's going on.
No, because the friends and families are the ones who provide cover for these individuals.
Well, that's what has to change.
This is why when you go to trial, you can't have somebody in the jury that knows you, because there's going to be a bias in your favor.
Well, let's look at it in terms of a story. If you had someone that you knew that had a predilection for young people, young children,
yes,
you'd go to them and say, "Look, man, you've got to stop this, because if you don't stop this, I'm going to be able to have to bring this to the authorities."
Well, I'm going to be quite honest with you, brother.
Yeah.
If I knew there was someone that I knew that was doing that, there wouldn't be a conversation, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll say Black Power, And to be quite honest with you, if I knew somebody was engaging in that type of behavior, I would snitch on them quicker than somebody working with COINTELPRO. If it would, I would not say. Let me turn my camera on for this. If I knew someone was sexually assaulting children, I would not personally go to that person and say, "Hey, you need to stop what you're doing." I would turn their ass in as soon as I could.
Would you? Okay, I would go to them first.
These are my personal values.
Yeah, I would go to them first. I would go to them and say, "Look, you've got to stop this." I mean, like,
what do you mean when you say when you go to them? So you said someone that has. Are you talking about you have evidence that they've actually done this, or you think that they're going to do it?
Or someone expressed an interest in that kind of thing, or had some sort of a tendency to talk about that kind of thing. I'd go to them and say, "Listen, you can't do that. I'm going to have to turn you in if you go and keep getting involved in this stuff, because I wouldn't."
When you say keep getting involved, that means the person has already done it.
Well, I wouldn't really know. I mean, if someone talked to me,
but you said keep getting involved. Keep getting involved is what is present tense, meaning they've already engaged in the behavior. They're actively engaging in the behavior.
Let's say they have.
Okay.
If they did that and you approached them and told them that you knew about it and were going to turn them in, unless they confirmed that they had discontinued the behavior, that's where I am.
No. Nope. You already did it. Your ass is going. You're going behind the wall. Ain't no. You tell me you're gonna stop doing it, then we cool. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. This is the problem that we have. We provide protection and cover for pedophiles, for criminals, for people who are doing harm to other Black people. That's why I said no, absolutely not in any way, shape, or form do we engage in this friends and family program, because the friends and the family are the ones who are protecting these individuals, these predators in our community. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, if you have someone that's like I said, they may have an issue and they're not acting out yet. and you want to intervene and get them some help, I think that's the right thing to do. But if they're actually acting out, that's a different thing. You get what I'm saying? Because
I
that's
agree
one.
with you, Mufasa.
Yeah, because you can't undo that. It's a few things you can't do. If you delete someone, you can't undo that. You sexually assault someone, you can't. That's something that can't be undone. That's why the punishment for that is so severe, or should be.
Yeah, should be. Key word
Yeah,
should be,
yeah.
because some people be getting off and be getting like 6 months. Well, let me not resort to histrionics and say people get 6 months probation, but you get the point that I'm making.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But I mean, if we look biblically in other, context, it's severe. I know you
Right.
have that one where you can pay the 50 shekels of silver. You
Yeah, I
do
think that
have
was in
that.
the
So
book
let
of
me not say
Deuteronomy in the
biblical.
Bible.
You'd have to marry the woman though in the Bible.
I mean, and
After
that's jacked up. So you sexually assault someone, you pay the dad, and you can marry her. I'm glad. I mean, what type of father is that?
Well, the reason they do that though is because in those times, like women had to get married, and then if people know that she's been soiled,
I
you
know.
see what I'm saying? They won't marry her. Yeah.
Right, but
exactly.
I know I guess the point I'm making, and I know you know this because you're into religion, is trying to apply those type of concepts from antiquity to today is extremely problematic.
Well, I think that some of the principles are the basis upon our law today. But the problem I have is that our system does not prosecute all cases equally. So if a person goes into the court system with this accusation, his chances of being falsely accused and detained. I mean, in many cases of guys going to jail for 18, 20 years, and finally the person admits at the end that they were innocent. So I haven't got the same confidence in the system that you're expressing. I think
Well,
the
no, and
system
I,
is.
and I understand what you're saying, and I don't think this is a situation where we're looking at confidence in the system. But I will say this, according to, golly, what is that organization that looks at wrongly incarcerated people?
The Innocence Project. Innocence
Not the
Yeah,
Project.
Innocence Project, but Amnesty International. Yeah,
that's
they're one of the most reputable non-governmental organizations focused on wrongly incarcerated peoples in the United States. They argue that only 4% of people who are incarcerated are individuals who are wrongfully incarcerated. But once again, I think what's important here is I don't want to get pivot away from the initial conversation. We're not seeking to have a conversation about the criminal justice system. We're having a conversation about individuals who are actually guilty of engaging in sexual assault against people.
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
once it,
if he's done it, if he's done it,
Yeah, that's what we're talking
all
about.
this sex trafficking, or so they say, all this thing where you're with a person and you're doing the stuff with them for years, and then you turn around and sue and claim you're a victim. I ain't trying to hear none of that. You know what
Right,
I'm
and
saying?
I understand where you're coming from there 100%, particularly
yeah,
if the person doesn't file criminal charges.
Yeah. In
Right,
that
then you
case,
say, well,
I'm
but
not.
this
Yeah.
looks like a money grab. This could be extortion, so on and so forth. But my concern is with individuals. That's why I said when I proposed the question at the beginning, should the black community support P.Diddy? I was stating this in terms of if he actually is responsible, he's actually guilty of the accusations, not if he's
well,
innocent. Right. And the only thing I'm talking about is a person is actually guilty of sexual assault, sex trafficking, pedophilia. Right. Should the black community support them? And my answer is a vehement no.
well, no, they shouldn't support them. But I just want to say that the system that prosecutes them, we have to see that that's a just process because
No,
right
no,
now,
no, no. Once again, you're trying to move the goalpost, brother. We're not talking about the system today. We're talking about individuals in our community who are preying on people in our community. We're not talking about the system today. We've done a number of shows on that, but that's not what we're talking about today.
okay, yeah, they should be
Uh,
punished.
well, no, but wait. I think his point was relevant, though. I think he's saying that we have to ensure that the trial was just before we act. You see what I'm saying?
But that's not what
Because
we're talking about today. We're talking about people
okay.
who are what? Guilty as sin.
Hmm.
That's what
Well,
we're talking about.
if they're guilty, if we ignore the process for now and say that they are indeed guilty, yes, they should be punished.
Okay.
There's no question about that.
Okay. That's the only thing we're talking about today.
Okay,
When I
but
talk
we
about
have.
the system today, but the reason why is because
I mean, do you hold on, Lumon? But do you think there's people who are going to say that they shouldn't?
yes,
Really?
absolutely. And the reason
What are
why
the arguments you've
I'm going
heard?
to say this because there's an individual in my family who's serving prison time for pedophilia, and there were
Oh
individuals
no!
in my family who still were taking up for him,
Wow.
and I
In
was
what
like,
way do
well,
you mean
don't
taking up for him?
up saying, oh, well, we need to be there for him, or he shouldn't get any time, and all this type of BS.
Oh, okay. I'm not against them trying to be there for him, but he should do the time.
You see
Though.
what I'm saying? So I'm speaking unfortunately from experience. And when I found this out, I mean, I exploded like Mount St. Helens. So, like I said, I don't provide grace, care, or cover or refuge of any kind for individuals that engage in that type of behavior. And so the big thing for me, Brother Mufasa, we've talked on numerous occasions, and I think I'm doing a better job of not cutting you off today because I know I did 2 days ago. So you was like, I can't get a word in edgewise, right?
Yeah,
But
it's all good.
But I, as a Pan-Africanist, and I want to know if you agree with this, I believe that African people should not be oppressing African people.
I agree.
Yeah, let's agree to that too.
Yeah, but that's a very it's tricky to like what's oppression. That's the trick.
Right, and I understand that that's a nuanced conversation. I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. I'm glad you mentioned that. But we all can agree sexually assaulting someone is oppression.
Yeah, I mean, if you have some systematic sexual assault going on where it's like, hey, in order for you to make it, you have to kind of put yourself in harm's way like that, Yeah,
This is
no,
something that
that's an issue.
we even find in the military. As you all know, many of you know, I served 6 years, and there were situations in which I became aware of where you had typically white male NCOs, non-commissioned officers, telling junior enlisted soldiers, particularly women, if you want to be promoted, you have to sleep with me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
corruption.
yeah.
Well, that's a feature of that community. They do that all throughout their community. You have Hollywood. You have guys that go over to Bangkok. I knew a guy that was like 85, went to the Philippines to get a young girl. Their community does it all the time.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So, brother Design, I need you to tap in, brother. I haven't seen you in a while. Tap in, be part of the conversation. Andrew Clemens, not a tricycle seat sniffer. I guess I could presume that I understand what you mean by that. Once again, family, you're watching a dual stream with Beacon Network, the Pan African Media Extraordinaire, and of course, Lumumba Speaks, the Black Empowerment Initiative, where we believe we could gain a competitive advantage by always betting on Black. We're discussing should the Black community support P.Diddy or sexual deviance in our community, period. Make sure you tap in, hit the subscribe and like button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well for future videos.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I think most people want to see him prosecuted. I mean, we don't like people with money. A lot of us are kind of like the what I see. I see people kind of laughing, jokes. I see all type of. I don't see a lot of Diddy support, to be honest.
Right.
So I wouldn't
Yeah,
think
that's what I said. My
wouldn't.
thing, I haven't made any comments about it, because my view is people should be innocent until proven guilty. But my only thing is if the person is actually responsible, like the situation with Bill Cosby, like why are you putting yourself in this situation? I mean, it's just stupid to me.
Well,
Yeah,
Bill
but
Cosby, Bill
that's
Cosby was
irrelevant.
so different. His accusers were like 30 years ago.
I know.
That was a whole different. That was the totally different system.
That was an injustice, man. Yeah.
And it was, but all I'm saying is you're a successful Black man, you're wealthy. Why would you put yourself in that type of situation? Like I told my son when we had the birds and bees talk, I said, don't ever have sexual contact with a woman or a young lady, because he's a young man, if they are under the influence of anything ever in life. I told him this.
That's wisdom. But
I said, even if you're in a relationship with a person, don't do it. I said, and I told my son, I said, when women are intoxicated, they are extremely unattractive to me. Literally, extremely unattractive.
I mean, what you're telling them is wisdom, but the reality is, if that was the standard, I mean, you know how many people wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the influence of some type of alcohol or just fun, or get what I'm saying? I mean,
Blame it on
if we be realistic,
alcohol, right?
Yeah, come on, you got songs, you got all type of stuff. So it's like, so to go retroactively and then hold him to that, I don't know about that.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying for me, that's, and the thing about it was, I've been like that since I was a teenager. That was always my view. Women who were under the influence were unattractive. That's just always been the case with me.
I know when I was in my 20s, it all depends on how much I had in me. If I was drinking, that's how attractive they were.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if you're sitting up here feeding them, because most of the time, if the woman's under influence, you're gonna be under influence too.
Exactly.
Right, but you know what the law gonna say.
Well, now that's what the law says. Things have changed, because you could do everything by the book and still get in trouble today. They could just come back and say, "I was assaulted." Like, this is what we're dealing with. Like, I don't know if you've seen that Nature Boy case, but I thought that was interesting.
No, I'm not familiar with the Nature Boy case.
Yeah. Well, so you're familiar with Nature Boy, right?
No, I'm not.
No.
Okay, so there's a Nature Boy guy. You kind of seen him around the conscious community, quote unquote, internet conscious community, quote unquote. And he formed a cult called the Carbon Nation. And he would have people kind of coming in and out of the cult. And it would be like multiple women he would be dealing with.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy. So it's like this. Ahead, though. Yeah, like this. It's like some handsome guy with a 6-pack talking some kind of, whatever, some random so-called consciousness. And they had people, they would be overseas naked, and it was just some weird cult, but they weren't really hurting anyone. And then so one of the women leaves and turns around and accuses him of the R word. And he ended up getting convicted about a month ago, and he got life without parole. Yeah, he got life without parole.
Based on her word only.
Based on her word, they had other people there too, though. But so he had positive people, and then he had positive stuff, but she also did too. But I think her testimony did a lot of the damage. But the judge, so I still want to finish watching it, but I listened to her testimony, and I listened to there was two people who were in the house. I looked at their testimony. But I feel like the judge was biased. Like, I'll give you an example. Her argument was that in order to be in the group, you could not be in that group unless you had a sexual relationship with Nature Boy, right? And it was non-negotiable. So in order for you to be in there, you had to do this, right? So that was the angle for the R word. It's like, no, you had to do it. But the issue was that he wasn't forcing you to stay in the group. You could leave.
Exactly. That's right.
And then, so there was a video. Somebody called the police on these people, and the police came and they played a video with officer came by, and he had his body cam on, and he came to the house, and Nature Boy invited him into the house. He said, "We have nothing to hide. You can come in." They walked him all around the house. He made a few declarations. He said, "Is anyone here against their will? Anyone, need to go?" Everyone said no. And after they played it, the judge said, "That's inadmissible. Strike that from your memory. You can ask a couple questions relative to it, but the video is inadmissible." So this is the type of stuff they were doing. And then she's saying, "Oh, well, it was non-negotiable, but you didn't have to be in the group." All the evidence suggests that people were able to come and go from the group, and they have been doing so for years.
Right, but the argument they're going to make is the fact that, but to join the group, you had to sleep with him, and that in itself is coercion.
No, they didn't have to be in the group. No one makes you be in a group.
Right, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, but in order to join, you have to have sex with a person. And that is considered coercion.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is another key point. So what they said is, so when you join, right, So say for you join and then you're there with them. The argument being made is that you're coerced by the group to turn over all your resources and to turn over your travel documents, right? So if you say you don't want to do it, everybody will kind of like collectively shame you. It's like, oh no, no, whatever. So you have to turn over your resources and your travel documents. So that is part of the argument for coercion. If I'm in possession of your travel documents and your resources, and then I'm saying you're free to go, right? So that's part of the argument. I don't agree with it, but that is a key part of the argument.
The case seems weak to me. I mean, that seems like the case should be that this person has chosen to enter a group that has all these requirements, and the requirements are not ones that she may agree with.
Yeah.
So why would the person voluntarily go to this group knowing that that's what the requirements were?
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of the stuff is on I think it's Court TV, and it's funny,
I've
they had a
watched Sport
panel
TV
discussion.
before.
Yeah, they covered it there. And then there was another sister named Neek or something like that. She was covering it and playing a lot of the testimonies. But yeah, I'm interested in it because to me, it basically seems to me, it's like you can't, if you have strong game and you're attracting women and they agree to these terms, they can always just turn around and just renege and put you in jail. That I think that's the point that we're coming to. Like if you got strong game and women want to agree to whatever weird terms you say consensually, they can retroactively go against you. So they're pretty much criminalizing that. That's the way I'm seeing it, right?
That's the way it's always been that way with black.
You cut
Sister,
out. You cut out.
Sister Shy, what say you?
Oh, hello. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I
Yes.
think my connection is starting to
No, no,
mess
we
up
hear you just
again.
fine.
No,
Go ahead.
you sound good.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm just waiting for you know, I'm not sure. I'm just waiting for the trial for Diddy. But I don't know. I just don't support him. For right now, I just don't support him. I mean, I never really liked Diddy in the first place, but
Why is
I
that?
just don't support him. I don't know. He just seems like he's like this person, like just cocky, just because he has money, he thinks he's like just I don't know, just he just seemed to me like very conceited and things like that. And I don't know. I never really liked his personality anyway. But
So you saying you want to see him go
just
down?
no, I mean if he's innocent, he's innocent. I'm not like that. Just because I don't like the person's personality, or I don't want to see a person if they're innocent, I don't want to see that person go down just because I don't like him. But
Hmm.
if he's guilty, then he needs to be punished. I mean, I have someone in my family has done that, messed with my sister and stuff like that. And now she's like having like I mean, I think she forgives this person, but like I could just tell my sister she's just messed up. And the person, he turned himself in and he told my sister she was sorry and stuff like that.
She
But
was sorry
I
and he was
still don't
sorry.
he told my sister that he was sorry what he did to her.
Okay.
So and he turned himself in. He did turn himself in. But I'm really having a problem with like communicating with him and things like that. I'm just gonna go on and say this person is my father.
Oh,
I'm really having a problem
But
communicating with him because of what he did. And I like I can't it's hard to talk to my dad. I'm just gonna be as honest. It's really hard to talk to my dad and things like that. And it's like he's my dad, so it's like I wanna forgive, but then it's just like, I don't know. It's really hard to do that. So this is why this is why maybe I feel the way that I feel. If Diddy did something like this, he should go to jail. I'm sorry. I just
no, I'm with you there, sister. I mean, you ain't gonna get no pushback from me there.
I mean,
Yeah,
my condolences too. I'm sorry for what you had to experience in your sister experience. That's terrible for it to be your own father.
yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and that's why I'm kind of happy that I mean I did not grow up with him because he married my
So I'm happy you
sister's.
didn't either. Like,
Yeah, he married my sister's mom, and he was sitting there doing that stuff to her. What if that would have happened to me? So sometimes
so this is a
I'm kind
stepfather
of happy
situation.
that yeah, I'm just kind of happy I did not grow up with him. I'm just going to be honest. I may not have grew up with no father, but I still came out okay, and I'm happy. I'm sorry that this happened to my sister, but I'm just happy that I was not in the home with them. I'm sorry. I just, you know what I mean. It makes me so sick that this is going on in our community. Why are these
Yep.
fathers or these uncles always touching these girls or boys and stuff like that? That is bullcrap. Like all these
Hmm.
women in the world, and you want to touch on a child. You all these women in the world, you want to touch on someone like that. It pisses me off. So you know, I'm happy that my dad did his time. He's out. Like, it's like I don't know. I don't know. I just feel that if Diddy did this, then he should go to jail. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all like upset and things like that. But
No, no,
hey,
no,
these
sister,
issues
you're
are
good.
going
That's
on.
okay. That's
Sister, you're
okay.
good. You don't need to apologize for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's just like it's a lot of stuff going on in people's families where people are doing stuff like that, and it's just like I'm just saying, all these women and all these men in the world, and you want to touch on young children. I don't get it. It's
I,
just
th- I
crazy.
I think this is another thing that broken homes make a little. It makes it worse. You know what I mean? Because that is a dangerous situation. The whole stepfather situation.
Hmm.
Yeah, that increases the likelihood by like a crazy number. I think it's like 20 times. I forget the
Mm.
exact
I
number.
would believe that.
Well,
I understand, but
Look at
real
Woody Allen.
fathers is doing this. I understand what you're saying, but real fathers is doing this. My real father
Well, I will say
that
this, Sister Shy.
did this. So
The data shows
like
that a child is least
sometimes
likely to
it
be a
doesn't even
victim of.
matter if
Well, hold on real quick, Sister Shy. Because we do sympathize with you and what you've experienced. But the data shows that children are the least likely to be physically or sexually abused when they are in the home with their biological father. The data does show that.
yeah, I
This is
understand that Lumumba, but I'm just saying that real fathers is doing this too. That's all I'm saying. That I mean, I
Oh, that
understand
was
what
the
you're
case. I
saying.
misunderstood. You're saying that he was her biological father too.
Yes, it's yeah, me okay. I
whoa.
have three sisters. We all got the same father. I have a different
Oh, okay.
mom from them. Okay, so my
Oh,
two
okay.
sisters, yeah, they have the same father and mom. I just have a different mom from them. So that's why I was saying my father, he married my sister's mom, and you know what I mean. And he was doing that to her. That's why I was saying I'm happy I did not grow up
I
with
got you.
him. And that's
I
what I'm
got you now. We
saying.
misinterpreted, sister. We do. I do apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
And
mean,
Brother Mufasa, I think you made a good point when you talked about a lot of these individuals. You said the record companies are using individuals with shady backgrounds and engage in criminal behavior. That makes me think of COINTELPRO, where individuals who they commit a crime, they're facing 10 years, and then the powers that be say it will work for us, so we can lock you up for half a century.
just look at who they uplift. I mean, it's not even without going into the conspiracy part, which I mean, I'm down to go into the conspiracy part, but just the stuff they uplift. I mean, come on. Joe Biden was sitting there being interviewed by Cardi B. Like, this is the
Right.
type of stuff we're dealing with.
Right.
And then they're uplifting these people. They give 50 Cent all these opportunities. Jay-Z
Right.
talks about dealing drugs, then they uplift him and make him, and I'm not
No,
saying
no,
these
I agree
people
with
aren't
you.
good
That's not a
artists,
conspiracy
but
at all. What you're saying is factual.
yeah,
The individuals that promote negative, racially disempowering, self-defeating, self-destructive music are the individuals that are uplifted. You're absolutely right. These are the individuals typically that are pushed to be leaders in our community.
yeah, I mean,
And
yeah, exactly.
the funny thing is that in their community, they don't have entertainers as their leaders. They don't have sports people as their leaders. They have political people. They have professors. They've got other kinds of leadership. But we're supposed to have rappers as our leaders, And I think it started back when they began to weaponize music back in the late '80s with NWA and all the gangster rap to bring in all the violence. Because before that, we had people like Public Enemy. They're talking about black empowerment, and they shut that down right away.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny because Baba Malcolm X talked about the same thing. Them empowering all these entertainers and all this stuff. But they control the narrative, and like Kanye was saying, they control our voice. That's just the reality. So it's just like, man, it sucks that we're always in this position and we can't really deal with these people like unilaterally. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they'll continue to uplift these people, and then we can't deal with them. But this is the issue with being 13% and pretty much being a domestic colony subjugated by these large corporations.
Right.
That's true. I think that there are certain communities that sort of managed to inoculate themselves against that. Think of the what is that? The Nation of Islam. They're pretty much inoculated against the influence of the mass culture.
They are, but as black people, they're still impacted by it. You get what I'm saying? They may have some tools to kind of keep themselves away from it within their situation, but they're still impacted by it. Like their image is still hit by them using a megaphone to push Diddy and Cardi B and all this other foolishness.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make excuses for our people. I mean, we shouldn't be going along with this stuff. I just understand why we are, because the way this system is set up. But if I can see it, architecture can see it, Lumumba can see it, the rest of us can see it.
Right.
We don't have to
That
buy
was
into
a
these
long time
narratives.
ago, in terms of all of these degenerate rappers are given prominent. Because I remember one time, this was after 50 Cent's first two albums. He was on the cover of some magazine in a suit talking about 50 Cent wants to be a leader.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I never saw that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long time ago. This is like, man, 2006. And I said, what the French toast are we talking about here? So you're spot on here. This isn't a conspiracy. Typically, by definition, a conspiracy is something that is done by a group in private. This has been done right in front of our eyes.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, like I said, that's not a conspiracy. I do really believe that Diageo and some government entities are conspiring, but and the sad part is I don't like to make those type of claims, those type of baseless claims, because we get into a lot of trouble and we do a lot of that. And this is a scholarly platform, so I hate to say that, but I just got to put it out there, man, because that timing is crazy.
The only reason I push back is because when he went to court with Diageo, they won.
See, I thought they I didn't know about that, because the thing was,
like, what incentive would they have when they came?
I thought they lost.
No, they came off like a fat cat.
No, okay, so they had so there's two things going on. He accused them of not putting out, well, he accused them of like keeping them in these black spaces, and then he had Deleon, his own tequila that they were supposed to put out. And he went down there and checked and noticed there were no plants, that they weren't even planning to put it out. I don't know what happened with those allegations.
But he dropped the suit against them.
Okay, yeah, then I got to get updated. I got to go read on that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
So that's why I was like, I don't see why they would be doing that when they came out on top. And he severed ties with them when they maintained 100% of the profits.
I could still see it though. I mean, because, okay, so what happened was he had this thing with them, right? And then if you notice, he gave money to Howard. He was being interviewed by them. He gave money at the he had InvestFest. Then he had this major segment where he was talking about, yeah, it's an illusion of inclusion. They're doing racism, blah 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 blah. And then he gives the big check. So he was trying to work on his, in my opinion, he was trying to work on his image because he knew these attacks were coming. Right now, when he's going out disparaging this company like this, it's still in their interest to discredit him, despite them losing the what's it called? It's still in their interest. Yeah, or them winning. She was still in their interest to discredit him, right? Because he's making all these allegations against them.
Okay. So, but here's the issue. This is where I'm getting off. If you are going to turn around and become a revolutionary or want to empower Black people, you have to be clean. This is why Malcolm said we have to be moral leaders.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, nobody's really clean like that. You know what I'm saying?
You can't change the past either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could be clean. I mean, yeah, you're right. Yes, we have to be clean, but it's just like, how many of these people are clean?
Unless you got people running around living sexually assaulting people, I don't see why that would be a problem.
Yeah, if you're not doing that, that's true. But I don't know. It's like they can make narratives up. I mean, look what they did to Cosby. They went and dug out some old stuff, and then
I know. But once again, they was able to create a narrative because he was actually engaged in behavior that was untoward.
Well, no, actually, I think he wasn't. They weren't able to prove that.
No. The women admitted that. So this is what was taking place, and this is cool. This is a segue, but it's good because it was still on point. We're still on topic. And this is how I even talked to some of the elders in my family, and they said this was a norm back in the 70s where people would want to do drugs and then have sex. What I'm saying is, I don't care what, and this is just my personal value speaking, right? Lumumbaism, right? I don't care what type of environment I'm in. I don't care what is the modus operandi of that generation. I'm not going to engage in sexual activity or proclivities with someone who's under the influence of anything. And so that's the issue. These women were asking for.
But that's irrelevant.
That's a different culture. You know, I'm old enough to have actually lived in that era, and back in that era, there was a whole different viewpoint of that kind of thing than it is now. It's a completely different perspective than it is now. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is,
but you know what? This is why.
Go ahead, sister.
Okay. Well, this is why I really drink. Every blue moon I might have like a cup of wine, but I don't drink, and I don't prefer my man to drink either, because look at Bill Cosby. Look what's going on with what happened with Bill Cosby. All these stupid drugs and stuff, and drinking and all that crap. Like, I mean, why do we even need to do that? I mean, I know people do it just to get high and stuff, but why do we even need to do all these drugs and stuff and drink till we get intoxicated and stuff? I mean, I just think it's silly. In my
opinion. I mean, that's why. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I agree with her values. I like that perspective, but unfortunately, none of us are really perfect.
I mean, I've had a lot of good times while drinking. I don't drink often, you know. I might drink 6 times a year, right? But I've had some good times while drinking. So I could understand why people want to drink and, you know, party, have a good time. I don't agree with drugs and stuff like that, but, you know, everybody has their own things they're trying to do. You know, Everybody wants to live their own life. But personally, I agree with you, you know. We don't need to be doing all that stuff, all that foolishness. Like, I don't want nothing to do with no drugs. I don't even want you. I had a friend I grew up with. Like, this is like my brother. You know what I'm saying? I remember going to college and then coming back from college. These dudes are doing cocaine. I was like, bro, I don't even want to be around y'all. Don't ever I don't want that even close to me. I don't want nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where you start to go down this dark hole, and you end up with all the foolishness you see in those allegations. It starts right there with them drugs.
And I understand what you mean, Mufasa, but like, I understand because I have got drunk before too, and that was like when I was 19. I was 19, and I did not like the way I was acting. Like, I mean, I didn't like the way I felt
So you
when
saying you can't
I
hold your liquor?
drunk. I mean,
It sounds like
I'm
I
just messing with you, sis. I'm just messing with you.
it sounds like you were
I
raised
just didn't
right.
like how I felt. I didn't like how I felt. I said I would never ever do anything like this ever again. And I haven't. I haven't got drunk like that before. That was the last time I ever got drunk. I said, nope, that's it. I said, why do people like this? This is what I was thinking. Why do people like this stuff? Like, that's what I was thinking, but I know I would never do it again. I don't think I would
I'm,
ever do that again.
the reality, man, alcohol is a drug. You know what I'm saying? But we live in such like a wicked society, bro. Like you can't like. So there was a lot of years where I didn't watch the NFL or anything. I barely watch any TV. But a couple years ago, I opened myself back up to watching the NFL. All you
Uh-huh.
see them promoting is like drugs and garbage the whole
Alcohol,
time.
yeah. What's
Yeah,
up? But I'm
alcohol,
gonna say this.
fast food.
But
Yeah,
but
but it
I'm
makes you think you need to do it, but you don't really you don't have to drink. You know what I'm saying? But they make it
right.
seem like you do. But go ahead,
But
bro.
I'm gonna say this much in terms of the alcohol and it's a wicked society. The use of alcohol was a staple aspect of traditional African culture in Western Central medieval Africa.
Well, we didn't really have that alcohol like that though. We had like palm wine, or we didn't have
Right.
these
But
hard
it was
liquors like
alcohol
this.
though.
Yeah, but
Well,
palm wine is very low. Go ahead.
Jesus' first miracle was turning water to wine. I think the key is to not to abuse alcohol. I mean, having a couple glasses of wine is one thing, but drinking like a fifth of whiskey is another thing.
Well,
It's the abuse.
when I was a young buck, I used to drink so much they called me Aquaman.
Yeah,
Wow.
see,
But I
that's
was a young buck
problematic
at the
though.
time.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Jesus might have turned water into wine. He wasn't going around putting up billboards and posters and everywhere you go, you got alcohol
Yeah, yeah, posters. Yeah,
suggestion. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
That's where I say that's where the wicked part comes in.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, these people, I don't know, man. This stuff is crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
just even Diddy. I mean, and then I mean, we haven't even really got into what good is Diddy to us anyway. You know, I didn't want to go into that because that's not really the point. But I mean, let's be real, bro. Like, what good is he really bringing with his music? Is he
well,
really? He
Diddy
has some good
has
songs.
done. He hasn't done that much. I personally don't even really like Diddy, but I do like to see a black man be successful and make money. Although I don't really care for his music, I don't agree with how he's raised his children and all that stuff. I think he should send his kids to Princeton or something. He shouldn't have them doing what they're doing.
But
But
what
I'm
are
glad
they
to see.
doing?
I don't know, but they're not going to Princeton.
Well, I mean, hold
Um,
on, hold on, but you cannot say I don't think he should have them doing what they're doing, and then you can't speak to what he has
okay,
them doing.
okay. Let me rephrase that. I've noticed that many very successful rappers they try to get their children into the same business that they're in instead of putting their children into a different strata.
Okay, but we're talking about specifically about Diddy, Puffy.
Okay, I don't know
Right?
enough about him to say it definitively. I shouldn't have said that because I don't know enough about him. But
Okay,
yeah.
I mean,
I
but
don't.
see, but going back to tying it up though. Wait a minute. All of this to me is centered around him selling alcohol. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you selling poison to the community. Now you get into it with these people, and now all of a sudden you want to turn around and do this kind of PR campaign and give money to Howard, give money at the Invest Fest and all this stuff. But your whole basis is pretty much like selling death to the people. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem, man.
That's
That's a
hypocritical.
problem. Yeah, and then when it's time for us to support you, it's gonna be a problem. It's like, hey man, we need to support this guy. Like what the guy that's pushing party and BS and alcohol and pretty much in the 90s was kind of one of the people integral to kind of getting us off the consciousness and into the nonsense. And now he's pushing drugs. I mean, alcohol is a drug.
Yes, it
Mr.
is, yeah.
Ciroc, yeah, it's a drug, bro. Like you're a drug dealer working with the white man and not even having ownership at that. Working with the white man to push his drugs on the black people. That's what you've been doing. And then
That's
when
true.
it's time for us to support you, it's going to make it difficult when that's what you're doing, man.
Yeah. Well, I still say that we have to let the system work its way through with him. he can't really be supported or condemned at this point. I think the position is just to observe the process and see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, legally, he can be condemned, but you know, I don't know. I've been done with these people because Diddy is nothing but a, you know, these people are just, this whole thing with them is a farce. They're just being used as, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? They're like propaganda against black people. It's actually really damning what they're being, the way they're being used.
The whole music industry at this point is like that. A lot of the young rappers are so debased. You know, it's shocking to me actually how debased they really are. And Diddy is not even as bad as they are, but the whole music industry has been weaponized against us.
No, but aside from the music, right? Because he's put out some good music, he's also put out some bad music, right? But aside from the music, let's just really examine this. Diageo, he told the story himself, right? If we said who owns Ciroc, the average black person is going to say Puffy, right? I'm pretty sure if we would have polled, 90% of people would have said it was him. But he didn't own it. You see what I'm saying? And he told the story. He didn't own it. But he's going out there and promoting, I'm black, I'm rich, I'm ownership. This is the type of stuff he's talking about. But at the end of the day, he's really just a do-boy for Diageo. Doesn't own it or whatever. But he's playing on and profiting from the illusion that he owns it. You see what I'm saying? And then once it gets crunchy with these people, then all of a sudden he's coming up now. He wants to tell us it's an illusion of inclusion or whatever. But if you really look at what Diageo is doing, it's tricking our people into fake, the illusion of progress. Oh yeah, we got people out here. We got Diddy, and then you got Jay-Z. He had a lyric: "The Nets could go 0 for 82, and I look at you like this ish gravy." Right? Then when it all comes out, we discover that Jay-Z only owned 1/15%, like 0.00001.
Of the Brooklyn Nets, right?
Yeah, of the Nets, right? But this is the type of stuff we're dealing with. Like, this whole thing is an illusion. So honestly, I mean, I'm just responding to the topic, but people like Diddy, Jay-Z, all these people are problematic, far beyond you know, these little cases and all this foolishness that these white folks got them doing.
I agree with you.
I think we did a show on, you know, Jay-Z and how he's always been able to market his personal triumphs as something that's actually beneficial for the black community when it actually isn't.
Right. But this is what, you know, they're putting this stuff, they're pushing this stuff. See, this is what I got to figure out how to like articulate it better, because people don't really get. I used to think that it was based on what was right and wrong, but I realized that what's right and wrong is relative, because if I have a brand like Ciroc or like P.Diddy, right, and I'm Diageo, I go and, you know, get some Negro to work for me. Or I don't know if that's a racial epithet, but if I go and get a black person to work for me, and then I pump money into this individual because he's making money for me, right? So now Diddy is a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar brand. There's been billions of dollars over the years in pushing that brand out in front of us, right? Mm-hmm. And he's working in conjunction with these rich white people, Clive Davis, Def Jam, Universal Music Group, all these individuals. They're working with these people. These are the people behind them, and they're putting billions of dollars, constantly telling us one message, one thing, billions of dollars. Lumumba does one show, right? And we can't talk the way we want because we're on YouTube, and that's just one show. Our people don't see that. They see what the billions of dollars are doing. And after they spend all these billions saying the same thing again and again and again, that's the truth. Unfortunately, it becomes the truth. They set in the narrative with that. So that's really the bigger issue, man. That's why Diddy is even somebody we care about, because of these people putting all this money into him.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the major issue. When you talk about when you have you either have your own record company or you have a distribution contract with a major, they put a lot of money behind you before you become a star so they can recoup their money.
Right.
Yeah, most of the stars aren't in control of their own careers. That's the problem that Prince had. He had a struggle with being able to control his own music, his own masters, his whole career. He was basically owned by the record company, and that's what he fought about until he changed his name to that symbol. I mean, this is an ongoing problem of black people being set up to be used to lead the other people in some nefarious direction.
Well, when you say most of them, who's the ones that do control it? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it seems to me, without being too deep in conspiracy theory, that many of these funds, think tanks, banking groups provide the financial means behind most big operations of any kind. It's not any one person, I don't think.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're saying most black people aren't controlling it, I'm saying which ones are controlling it. You see what I'm saying?
None. Okay, almost
Yeah,
none.
yeah.
The
So
ones
that's
the
what
ones
I'm asking. You saying
yeah,
most? Like really, none of them. Maybe
none.
Kanye West at this point, if that's true. They're saying he
Kanye's
put
in
this thing
trouble.
out. Say what?
He seems like he's in trouble these days. He's always in some kind of a controversy. So I doubt if he's
He's
in
in,
control.
but he had a #1 song, independent, like really independent, and we never really seen that. And then I don't really know what's going on with him when they're telling us that he's in trouble with the J people, and then all of a sudden he has a Super Bowl ad. I'm like, how you in trouble with the J people and you get a Super Bowl ad when all the owners, like 80% of them in the NFL, are J people?
It seems like Kanye is in some kind of a struggle with different entities because he had this thing going with his shoes and his fashion and so forth, and fighting over that. He's definitely a person that's under attack. I would have expected him to be under attack more than Diddy. So Diddy was a surprise to me. I would have expected Kanye to be the next one that really get destroyed, but it turned out that it was Diddy instead.
Well, they I don't know. He came under attack. I mean, after he made those statements, he had the issues with his Adidas deal. He lost that Yeezy deal. I mean, he came under attack when they did the whole thing saying he wasn't a billionaire anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and then he did apologize to the J people. He did make an apology,
yeah.
but for him to have a #1 independent record is interesting. That's something I definitely got my eye on because that's not something that you see. It's very rare for you to see that.
That is rare. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, these people own all that music because the distribution is the key, man. And he's
Yeah.
still using their distribution means. He was going through some European company that he used for distribution. But yeah, I'm gonna be studying that situation because yeah, I feel like that whole Kanye thing is interesting.
He's a smart fellow. There's no question about that. I mean, he does some crazy stuff, but he's a smart fellow to have made it to where he is now and still be free. I mean, he's gone through a huge amount of things, and he's managed to come out on top each time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like I said, when they gave him that commercial on the Super Bowl, that just threw me off. I'm just like, I don't know. What are they playing games with us? I mean, because usually if you do something against them people, they'll shut you down. But they're still like kind of working with this guy, so I don't get it.
He must have ownership of
Right.
something that they want or something, or own a significant piece of it or something.
Yeah, he still owns Yeezy, and I mean, and he's really valuable as a musician. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Kanye West. Mhm. He's cool.
What did you not like about Nature Boy? Maybe you can give me some more insight on this thing
That's
because
a
I'm
good
trying to
question,
figure out.
brother.
Oh my God. I mean, he okay. Oh God. Okay,
Take your
I was
time, sister.
watching
Take your time.
this video, and this guy literally had one of his girlfriends giving him oral sex on the video. And it's on YouTube. And I said he is disgusting. I was like, okay, this is and then I heard that he was abusive to them women too, and stuff like that. And
Like
that's
emotionally or
why
physically?
I heard that physically that he was abusive to them. Like I was watching
Okay.
different things and I heard that he was physically abusive to them. And I think that's one of the reasons why one of the girls was pressing charges. I heard that he was trying to hold them like what am I trying to say?
Like false imprisonment.
Like yeah, like trying to hold them like they couldn't leave and stuff like that, and then just being abusive and stuff like that. That's why I really don't like him. I just don't. And then how you gonna have on video where you have a girl, you doing sexual activity with some girl, and then anybody could be watching this. Kids, this is YouTube, and I believe the video is still on YouTube. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I was just like, okay. I said, this
Yeah, that's
guy, he,
problematic.
yeah, something is
Wait a
going
minute.
on with him, but that's why I don't like him.
I forgot to add that was one of the charges. Also, he got revenge. I don't know
Revenge
if I can
porn.
say. Yeah, I don't know if I can say the word, but yeah, he got that charge too. But when I was listening to him, he said that he had put the video up on Twitter, and then they had the dispute, and then afterward, she never asked him to take it down, but they just put the charge against him,
Well,
but it
then the
was
thing
already
is,
up.
what type of character do you have that you're even putting something like that up on that platform?
Well, see, but the thing is,
Exactly.
all those people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bro.
Thank
The
you.
whole cult
I'm
is
glad you
nuts,
used the
bro.
term I use sometimes. Cuckoo for
Yeah,
Cocoa Puffs.
the whole cult, all those people are nuts, bro. But my thing is, you shouldn't go to life without parole for that. You see what I'm saying? They're
Right.
all weirdos to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, I used to like same thing with Brother Polite. I used to like him, but then look at what happened to him. I
But
mean,
he was always sexualizing the women that he was in that he was coupled with. So that should tell you something
well,
right
I'm talking
there.
about early back in the day when he was like, like dropping knowledge and stuff like that. Like early back in the day, I used to watch him. I used to watch Sonetter and all way long time ago. I used to watch all of them, Sonetter and um, you know, all of them, all the conscious people. I used to watch all of them back in the day, and then I just stopped watching because it was just too many debates and stuff like that, too much arguing, and then I just wanted to focus on what's more important in our community. All they want to do is just talk about Hebrew Israelite versus Kemetic and all that crap. Like that
Right.
stuff is. I'm sorry, but we need to worry about something that's more important in the community. I'm sorry that. So I just stopped watching them.
I
So,
used to watch them too.
but yeah.
I actually went to see Polite twice. He came out here. I seen him when he went to Long Beach, and I seen him. Maybe it was just Long Beach. I think it was one more time, but maybe it was just Long Beach. But yeah, I used to watch all that
Mhm.
stuff too. Sonetter
Yeah,
lost me
and
though,
yeah,
man.
those
Sonetter is too toxic, man.
Okay.
They
How
got like
he
so?
is,
issues, bro.
yeah. Yeah, and those were the days when I was a Hebrew Israelite, and then I was a Nuwapian too. I was those are the
Yeah, I
days
never
when
got
back
into
when I
that
was in
stuff.
like the early 20s. Yeah, but I don't, and I I don't know how I got into all that stuff either, but it just happened. But I mean, it is what it is.
You
Now
hold
I'm
on. You
just,
became a Nawapian, and it just happened.
yeah. I don't know what's going on. And then like young
Hmm.
well, I mean, I just started out I was studying about the Nuwapians, and then I just I just became one. So yeah.
See, I was
That's not
the thing that saved me at that time. I was rejecting religion at that time. So that was one thing that kind of it did become annoying to me because I had already come to the conclusion that arguing about religion was like a waste of time. I did a lot of arguing about religion in college, and then I found
yeah.
those guys after college, and everything was Hebrew, this, blah blah blah. It's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, we can't have a scholarly debate about the Bible. That's not a scholarly book. That's your
Right.
personal faith.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Well,
But
I mean, I
they'll
used
do
to be
90% of their stuff was that.
yeah. Well, I mean, I used to be in the groups. It was Garfield Reed, right?
I'm gonna
No,
have to
no.
go. Nice talking with you guys, but I'm gonna have to run along. Enjoyed
All right.
speaking
Stay
with you
safe,
guys.
brother. You're
Have a
welcome
great evening.
anytime.
Okay, have a good one. Mhm.
Peace. You said
Like, go right
Garfield
ahead.
something.
Yeah, Garfield Reed. Well, like I used to be in the groups debating with once I stopped being a Hebrew Israelite, I used to be in the groups debating like the Hebrews. It would be the Comedics versus like the Hebrews, and I used to be in the groups debating them, and it was crazy. But now I guess my beliefs are well. I don't want to get off topic, so never mind that. I'm sorry. I don't want to
No, no,
go
no.
into
I
that
want to
because
hear this, sister. Now, keep going.
well now I just kind of view myself as agnostic now. Agnostic because I don't know. I don't know like where we going after we leave this life. I don't even know if there's a God or what. I like now I'm to that point. I don't know. So that I just view myself as agnostic now because I don't want to debate with anyone about religion or anything like that. I mean, now my man, he's a Christian and stuff like that, but I just right now for me, I'm just agnostic. I don't know if there's any God or anything like that right now. That's where I'm at the point. And yeah, yeah. So all this stuff is just mythology to me. It's mythology. And we don't all these arguments, these Christians, Muslim, how do you know? How you know which God is real? You don't know. You just learned that because your family told you. Your family were Muslims and Christians, and they gave you this book, and they told you this is the word of God. But how do you know that? How do you know? Well, do we really know? So I just came to the point, I mean, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. People can believe what they want to believe, but all these 1,000 religions in this world, and people think their book is only right. I don't think so. So that's just what I believe. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know you was a Hebrew Israelite at one point. Wow. He's a wild one,
yeah,
sister.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, any last thoughts on the conversation regarding Diddy before we close out?
Hmm. Um, Nothing really. I mean, I hope that he's not guilty. But
Right.
with all this stuff, like I mean, with all this stuff that's just coming out, I don't know. I don't know if he did do that. If he did do it, then I think he should be punished. But if he's innocent, then I won't talk about it no more. But I just think it's sad if he
Hmm.
did do it. So, mhm. But that's all I have to say.
Okay. Brother Shabazz, what about you? Well, yeah, Mufasa.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, I think I said most of what I have to say. I mean, we should wait for the information to come out on whether or not he's guilty. Um, and I do see it. I do see a pattern of our people being kind of built up to these positions, but under white people's thumb the entire time, and then they can like just choose to destroy these people when they're ready to do it. So this is just another argument for black self-determination in Kujitagulia.
Hmm.
You're getting caught up in this illusion of inclusion, but at the end of the day, you're still a domestic colony. I mean, we are Americans, but ultimately, we're a domestic colony, and we don't
Are we
truly have.
Americans?
Yeah, I would say so because I used to say we're not until I start traveling. When I start traveling, I'm like, man, we Americans.
No, so when you started traveling, what led you to take that position?
Well, just the way that the way that I'm viewed, the way that I'm viewed. And then when I realized I don't really have another home in this, I used to be like, yeah, Africa, but we don't have a home in Africa like that.
So,
That was a harsh
this
reality for
And
me.
you know what?
hold on,
I'm
sister.
sorry, Lumumba. Oh, I'm sorry.
So what I would say is I view being American not by how people perceive you, but by if you are able to enjoy the fruits of American citizenship unencumbered. And I would argue we aren't able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, if you say unencumbered, by your definition, we're not. But
And
it's just,
this is why the father of black nationalism, Martin Delany, said we are denizens and not citizens. We're living in this country by privilege, but not by not by right.
Yeah, I mean, and Baba Malcolm X said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. Well, I like Khalid Muhammad's version. He said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. We got hit in the head with the damn rock.
Right. So I think that's something to consider. And the reality of the situation is just because we've been removed from our ancestral homeland, I still wouldn't. Now, I don't think I'm an American.
What else are you though? Like, what are you?
I just know better.
Well, I want to know what Marie says. I want to challenge that. But what do you think, Marie? What were you about to say?
I was going to agree. Me traveling and then listening to what some Africans, they view us as Americans. They say since we were born here that we're American. And I had plenty of Africans say that's not my home. Africa is not my home because I was not born there. Yes, I may be African descent, but my nationality, I'm not African. I am American. So that's when I just started. Okay, I'm American. Like I mean, because
hold on. But who you are isn't based on what someone else says.
Well, it's
right?
but
here's the thing. Because here's the thing, right? Typically, people who say that are people who are politically immature. Why do I say that? Teaching. I remember I had a student who was from Mexico. He was second or third generation Mexican. He said, "Nah, I'm Mexican. I don't give a damn how long I've been here. Twice removed." Right. So people who typically say that are people who are politically immature. And then you have to look at maybe their political positionality. They may be integrationists. But like you said, how could we call ourselves Americans when we've never truly enjoyed the fruits of Americanism? We've only enjoyed the thorns and the thistles. Because here's the thing.
I understand that, but still our nationality.
Right. But hold on. But here's the point I'm gonna make. And Malcolm talked about this. We're seeing this today in terms of this extreme push by the conservative right, that they're making it very clear who they define as Americans and who are not Americans. We have never been considered Americans in this country, ever.
But that's by those people, though.
Right. And the other issue is when we talk about, if you look at the history of African Americans up until Dr. King, when integrationism was in vogue, we always viewed ourselves as on a macro level as Africans in America, particularly in terms of you look at numerous Black organizations. Africa was always in the name.
No, I hear that, but when you go to Africa today, like, so you said the people who said that are politically immature, and I agree with that, but the majority of these people are politically immature. So it's like, that's the current state.
So the issue is, why are you giving credence to the opinion of someone who's politically immature?
That's the majority opinion, though. You get what I'm saying? The majority of them are politically immature.
If I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then my opinion doesn't matter. I don't care how many people think that way.
It does, though, because that's who's running the land right now.
Well, culturally, we are American. How many African Americans know an African language or know any of the African customs and stuff like that?
So here's the thing, sister, and I'm glad you mentioned that. One, there are Africanisms in African American English, right? Just like there's Africanisms in Haitian Creole, right? The second issue is, if you ever travel throughout the diaspora, you would see the remnants and the connections with traditional African culture, right? We see this all the time. Matter of fact, I have about half a dozen books behind me on Africanisms and African American culture. So we are practicing aspects of our culture, we just aren't aware of it. That are cultural holdovers and staples from our ancestral culture on the continent. So we haven't been as deculturalized as the power structure would lead one to believe.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm saying that I'm saying that we are African descent, But what I'm saying, our nationality is American, so that makes us American. So I don't. Maybe
No,
maybe
no, it
something's
just
not
makes us,
clicking
it
right
makes
for
us an
me. But
African simply living in America because we are not considered, we, no, we are not American by this government. We're not treated like Americans by this government. I
But
would
see,
argue that
you're
that is an
saying
illusion that we are American. And Malcolm
no.
talked about this when he gave his speech. Can't hate the roots of a tree without hating the tree itself. He said the man is jiving you, telling you that you're an American, you're an American, American. He said, no, we are simply Africans living in America.
We know we're Africans living in America, but we're also Americans at the same time, man. At the end of the day,
I'm
like
not
we're
an American.
Americans.
I'm not an American.
I'm just
American
saying.
simply is my nationality.
I have an American
understand what I
passport.
am. I know that's great. I have an American passport as well, but I'm not an American.
We're
That simply
Americans.
is my nationality.
No, I get that when you take it there. But the only issue is if you're not an American, what are you?
I'm an African living in America.
Africa is not a country.
I didn't say Africa was a country. So you're conflating race. You're conflating race and ethnicity with nationality. I'm not.
No, I mean, but American is a nationality, though. If we're talking heritage, yeah, we both agree we're African heritage.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, so
And
when
I'm,
we say
and I'm
American,
claiming
that's
that I'm not
nationality.
American because we don't enjoy the full fruits of Americanism. We face anti-African violence on a diurnal basis in all aspects of human activity in this society. Americans don't have to deal with those things. Americans don't need a 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment to be considered a citizen. Americans don't have to have a Voting Rights Act, a Fair Housing Act, right? Americans don't have to have these things to ensure that they live their lives and they are able to live their lives unencumbered in what? And have a full pursuit of what? Happiness and liberty. Americans don't have to do those things.
No, I mean, but there's marginalized groups in countries everywhere. Like so, by your logic, the Uyghur Chinese, the Uyghurs aren't Chinese.
We're talking about America. We're not talking about everywhere. We're talking about
but
America.
Everybody can make that. So Mexicans can make that argument.
Absolutely. Because in America, American means white.
Well, Lumumba, okay. Let me say this though, Lumumba. Okay, I am a Sierra Leone citizen. I have a ECOWAS passport. I was adopted into a village. I was adopted into a village in Mende Land called in Moyemba, and called Jamakoa, and I've been doing all this stuff, but I still feel like I'm American. Like I don't feel. I don't know. I still don't feel like I'm African enough.
Well,
like
so
I mean,
sister,
I'm African descent, but I'm talking about culture.
Hold on. First and foremost, we are not our feelings. Okay, we're not our feelings, so we don't move that way, sister. Number two, I remember there was a time I was dating a sister from South Sudan, right? And we were having a conversation, and she said to me, "I don't understand why African Americans don't think they're African." She said they could look in the mirror every day and see that they're African. Why don't they think they're African? And I said it's because the educational system teaches them that there's something else. That's why. And she said, you know what? You're absolutely right, because my little sister is going to school here, and I've seen the effect it's having on her. So we don't think we're African. Shout out to Dr. Carter G. Woodson, because we have been victimized by the miseducation machine that they call the public school system, which is actually the public fool system.
You're pointing out there are some things that are wrong, but there are a lot of benefits to being American that we do have access to. Like, when I go to register my business, I could go down to the county building, register my LLC. I can bid on contracts. It's a lot of things we do that are American.
You're talking about having legal rights.
Yeah, that's what. But rights are part of your citizenship.
Well, no, because you have people in this country who aren't citizens who still have rights.
No, that's true, but there's rights that come with being a citizen.
Right.
The Constitution protects non-citizens too.
But you can operate a business in America and not be a United States citizen. I know people who do that.
No, you can do it exactly. You have to get those credentials, but there's certain things that you have to be a citizen.
What I stated was unencumbered. Unencumbered. You can enjoy what? The pursuit of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, unencumbered. We don't, that's what Americans have. Americans don't have to have laws passed to ensure that they're treated like human beings. Americans don't have to have laws passed that allegedly give them citizenship. Americans don't have to have laws passed and updated on a generational basis to have the right to vote. People who aren't Americans, people who are denizens, not citizens, have to have those things. Special protections placed.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical point, and I understand your point, but I don't. If that's not, what's my nationality then? I just don't have one. Don't say African because that's not a nation.
Yeah, that's the position I take.
But that's not a nation.
I know that. I never said it was, but that's the position I take. So, but Sister Shine, once again, I think it's important that we ingratiate ourselves with some literature. But once again, it's not based on how we feel.
But aren't you using how you feel?
No, I'm not. I'm stating facts.
On the African continent, then.
I'm sorry, Sister Shine. Say that again.
So do we need a nation on the African continent then? I know we have Liberia, but I'm just saying that if we Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, is this the reason why so many Pan-Africans, we want to create a nation on a continent? Like, a lot of people are trying to, there's some Pan-African, they're trying to build in Liberia. They're trying to create their own nation there or something like that. But if we feel that way, and I'm not saying all of us are not able to go back. So why aren't we trying to create a Pan-African community in America? Or on
I live in the Pan-African community here in Columbus. I go to a Pan-Africanist gym.
What Pan-African gym?
California Fitness.
I used to work there. I used to work at California Fitness. I used to work out there, but I didn't think that was a Pan-African gym.
Well, I mean, it was a long time ago. I'm talking about now.
Oh. I mean, you're saying in terms of ownership?
In terms of ownership, and then the people who frequent the not only the gym, but also in terms of the programming as well.
No, in order for it to be a Pan-African gym,
huh?
No, I'm saying in order for it to be a Pan-African gym, it would have to be owned. It would have to be not only Pan-African or owned by an African, but the laws that it's subject to and the entity it pays taxes to, all that would have to be African.
Ultimately. No. So now you're conflating, because if you are in a particular country, right, you have to pay taxes to that actual country. That's just the reality. So, for example, there are Pan-African bookstores in Chicago that I'm familiar with, right? In Philadelphia, the fact that they pay taxes to the Philadelphia city government doesn't mean that it's not a Pan-African bookstore.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. So, it should be owned by them, though. It should be owned.
Yes, but yes, owned, and the programming, yes, but paying tax, you can't control who you pay taxes to. If you live in a country, you got to pay taxes to the government. That's just reality.
Eric B says the majority of the people on the continent will say welcome home as a Black American. I don't know about that one. I think, he might have went to Ghana or somewhere like that where they know you're coming and they kind of know the catchphrases to get you to spend money. But it's not really taught in schools for them to have that type of mentality in general. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It is going to depend on where you're at. And it's going to depend on the government, right? So Thomas Sankara, when he was president of Burkina Faso, he was like, "Hey, you're my brothers and sisters. If you want to come home, you can." When Kwame Nkrumah was in office, same thing. When Julius Nyerere was in office, that was the case in Tanzania, right? So there have been governments that were Pan-Africans in their orientation who was like, "Hey, shout out. If you want to come home, you can." And it wasn't about people spending money, right? But it's about allowing African people in the West to reprieve from right? The anti-blackness they were experiencing in the diaspora, actually repatriating. But you also have to understand that repatriation, you could be a Pan-Africanist and your focus doesn't have to be on repatriating to the continent, right? So people think that Pan-Africanism means just we want to go home, we want to go home, want to go home. That's not the case. You do not have to repatriate to be a Pan-Africanist.
No, but what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is I'm not saying for everyone to go home. I'm just saying, why aren't Pan-Africans trying to create communities that are Pan-African? That's what I'm saying.
And what I'm saying, that is something that is taking place. Just because you're unaware of it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Okay. Well, Mufasa, I felt that way in Nigeria. I just did not feel like, I'm not saying, I just felt like I really wasn't welcome there. I felt more welcome in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I don't know if you got that feeling, Mufasa, but because I know you were there on this tour, but I just felt like it was so many of them begging for money. I just felt like I was an ATM there, but I did not feel that way in Sierra Leone.
Wait. So, because like I said, we don't want to be providing a perspective or us having a lens of something from a situation in terms of how we feel. A good example of this is when my great aunt went to Haiti back in the 80s. Of course, I was like a kid at the time, 3-4 years old. And she said when they got there, people, of course, was asking them for money. It wasn't because they saw you as an ATM. They were begging for money because what of their dire financial economic situation.
It's still the fact that they're begging for money, though.
Context.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, going back to what Eric B is saying, it kind of corrupts it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it kind of corrupt. It's like if my brother, welcome home, and then I end up begging you for money, I don't know if it's genuine or not.
Well, but here's the thing: no one's claiming that. Once again, no one's claiming that that's what took place, right? So you're conflating someone begging for money with someone trying to finagle, acting like you're their brother or sister.
So I was responding to Eric B's comment, but go ahead.
I still didn't feel the love,
the majority of people on the continent, if you are Black American, they see you, they would say welcome home. But once again, you're taking from that and then assuming that what comes next is they're asking you for money. We don't know that. So once again, we're still making a false statement. We're making an implication about you being welcomed because you're assuming that the person is going to ask you for money, and that's their angle, that's their end game.
A lot of people are doing that, though.
Right, but we don't know if that's what he's speaking to. We don't know if that was his experience. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to apply that unilaterally. Like I said, in Haiti, when my great aunt went to Haiti, right, there were people weren't trying to finagle. They were financially destitute, unfortunately, because we know Haiti's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. They came up asking for money, not because they saw her as an ATM, but because of their financial distress. They were doing that to anyone that they thought had resources and who could help them. Same as when you're here in America and you get off at the exit, and there's somebody there panhandling.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I dealt with less begging in Haiti than I did in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, personally.
Darius, I need you to cam up in queue before I bring you in. Just gotta make sure you're not trolling. So once again, Darius, I need you to cam up in queue, so I can make sure you're not trolling before I bring you on to the actual live show. So just make sure you cam up in queue.
What you was gonna say, Marie?
Well, I'm sorry, Lumumba, if you felt like I was being rude. I'm just trying to state how I felt. Like, I did not feel welcome. Like, I don't know. I just did not feel the love there. I mean, I do like Nigeria, but I'm just talking about from the majority of the people. I'm not saying all, but I'm just saying I did not feel the love there like how I felt in
Well,
Sierra
see,
Leone.
and so I'm glad you said that, because here's the problem. One of the problems we have is we're going to the continent and we're expecting people to embrace us. They're dealing with their own issues over there, right? So one of the things that I remember the sister said, she was on the documentary 500 Years Later. She said, when you go to the continent, don't go there. You should be going there to work. You should be going there to help solve the problems, the conditions of our people, right? Because you got people every day living sometimes in abject poverty. They ain't got no time to be running around trying to welcome somebody saying, hey, we're so glad you made it. They're dealing with hell on earth.
I
But
think we should go there for tourism too, though. I don't think there's nothing
No,
wrong with going
I
for tourism.
understand that, but what I'm saying is you have to have a understanding of the social, political, economic realities of the people who are living there, right? So, for example, where did I go? Hey, I remember I went to New Orleans when I was like 19, right? New Orleans, unfortunately, is known for having a extremely poor educational system and for what? A high level of violent crime. So I need to understand that context when I go there. But instead of showing up and then saying, hey, why isn't anyone welcoming me? We have to understand that.
Go ahead,
okay,
Murray.
but some Africans, when they come to the West, they feel that way about us, that we don't welcome them, and then we always calling them names and talking about their accents and stuff like that. They say the same thing when they come over here. This is
So
why.
once again, why are we seeking to accentuate the negative? Why are we seeking to accentuate the negative? Because there are just as many instances where that doesn't take place. How do I know? Because I've never in my life had a running. Matter of fact, I'll give you all an example. When I first moved to Columbus, I found the new gym. I'm working at the gym for 2 weeks. A brother from Somalia came up to me and said, brother, I want to know if I could talk to you. I know that you're Pan-Africanist and there's something I need to talk to you about. And he wanted to have a conversation with me about anti-blackness and Islam. So what we tend to do is accentuate the negative, which further creates a divide amongst us and our brothers and sisters, not only on the continent, but also in the Caribbean. So we're not working together, wherever we are, to what? Better our lives socially, politically, and economically.
Well, I get along with all groups of people, all groups of Black people, Caribbean, African here. I don't have no problem with them. I'm just stating how I felt in Nigeria, and maybe I should never said nothing because I don't know. I should never
No,
said
all I'm
anything.
saying is that you have to understand the context regarding why people were coming up to you and asking for money is because they're impoverished. It's not because they see you as an ATM. It's because they're going to bed hungry. I remember.
Both of them could be true at the same time, though.
Hold on. When my son was about 7 or 8, and I always had my son read the New York Times, so there was an article about what was going on in Kinshasa, DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and how some areas were so impoverished that people were eating every other day. So the man would eat on Monday, then the women on Tuesday, the man on Wednesday. My son read the article and was like, dang, Dad, I hope that one day I'm in a position to where I could go and help my brothers and sisters there. Right? So you have to understand the context, why this is taking place, rather than taking it personal.
No, you make a strong point, and I agree with that because, like I said, I love Nigeria, and I don't think the overwhelming majority of Nigerians have terrible racial politics to me, and there's a lot of self-hate there. But I can go there and still see it as a place that I love and could see myself living because I'm putting all of that into the historical context. I know why that's the case. So you're correct on that point. But it's still worthy of pointing it out, though. It's still okay for us to point this stuff out.
No, right, but you have to provide the context. It can't just be a solipsistic frame of reference, right? If you're going to tell the story, you have to tell the entire story. Okay, this is what took place, and then you have to provide, and this is why this was happening, the social, political, economic context.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that.
That's important.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I still understand her point because I think if we're saying, like you're saying, we shouldn't go on feelings, but I know you're probably not going to say it's your feelings alone when you say that we're encumbered in our pursuit of happiness here in the US. But your feelings have to be a part of it because you have to assess how you're being treated. Part of that is how you feel about the treatment. That has to be a part of it. So we could use that same assessment when we go back to Africa.
Well, and I would say, but when you go back, when you go home, or when you travel abroad, you have to have a realistic view of what's going on and an actual understanding of the social, political, and economic dynamics. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of our people don't. And they show up, and there's this expectation, though you're supposed to be embraced, and people are going to stop what they're doing and run to the airport. It's like, we're so glad you're here. And once again, we have to say anti-blackness is ubiquitous. Right. And so they're dealing oftentimes with the same issues and sometimes even more oppressive due to neocolonialism, right, than we are here in America. So we have to put that context. We have to consider that when we are traveling abroad, connecting with brothers and sisters from other, like I remember maybe about a week or two ago, I ran into a sister. She's been thoroughly Europeanized. She's a Liberian sister who grew up in New Zealand, so she thinks she's a New Zealander. So her whole view of African people on the continent, even in America, is we're our own worst enemy. So I said, okay, I can tell that you've been colonized mentally. So I understand that. So I was like, I can't take what this person's saying seriously because they're ignorant. She's been whitewashed. So you have to have that understanding when you're having these conversations, when you're engaging with people, rather than taking what a person's saying who is ignorant and then holding it as the heaven's truth.
Yeah, but that's going back to what I was saying. If a lot of them are ignorant, that's kind of what it is. Like if you go there, we could put it in context, but we still can't. Like I can't just go to Nigeria and act like I'm a Nigerian. That's something that I would have to foster, and it would take time for me to carve that position out. That position is not available for you just right now if you just show up. That's going to take some time and investment. You can't just show up there. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the case in any community. How do we know?
Here, I'm already American. No, but I'm saying I'm already in America. Like here, I have a place here. I don't have a place on the continent right now. I would have to create that.
All right, Darius, you can turn your camera off and cue. All right, I'm going to bring you in. You got some background noise going on. So we need you to square that away. Eric B says, American media paints a picture of America as this utopia where you just wake up and money falls in your hand. And unfortunately, many Africans on the continent believe that. That's true. I remember there was a sister, that same sister from South Sudan, she had shared with me how there was a belief that. Okay, we having some problems here. So
bro, you trying to line up your beard? I mean, what you doing?
Right. In which she was like, man, we were told stories how, you could just walk in the house, press a button, and the food would make itself. So like, yeah, people, there's a lot of propaganda that is that is promoted. So I just think that's something to consider.
Now I was curious of what Darius had to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he was trolling, so I banned him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't take any chances.
Oh, I thought he didn't show his face.
No, he did. But when that was going on, I'm like, well, maybe the guy's trolling. I mean, because you have people who come here that's just like, there was a time where a brother showed his face, right? And
I was there.
And then when I put him in, a video popped up of some gay porn.
Yeah, I was here. I remember that.
Yeah, so I try to, when I bring someone in who I don't know, I keep my thumb on the band very quickly.
It's funny. I was about to say that too, Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman said it's called. I was going to say that, but I just didn't want to be like a smart aleck.
Right, but the thing was, their belief wasn't like, oh, you just take the food and put it in something. It was that the food would just make itself, I guess. So just
like the Jetsons.
Yeah. I guess like the Jetsons. Yeah. So these type of things take place. But all I'm saying is we have to understand the social political context regarding what's going on. But I do understand some people would be so disenchanted by their personal experiences that they don't care about the social political context, and they say, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So
No, I just like I said, we even got onto this whole thing because I was just saying that, yeah, it was a harsh reality for me to really look at it and be like, man, I'm an American. I used to say I'm not. I understand your point, but I don't see what else I am if I'm not an American.
Okay.
I mean, we done fought in all these wars
Well, I mean,
here.
but you said you was a Pan Africanist, and Pan Africanism. One of the core tenets of Pan Africanism is what I'm African first, and anything, any other identity is secondary.
Yeah, and that's true. But we're just saying we're speaking in terms of nationality. You know what I'm saying? You still have you. I'm African identified, but I still have an ethnicity and I still have a nationality.
And
You know what I'm
your
saying?
ethnicity is African American.
Right.
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 Yep. Okay. Very good. This is how I want to roll. And Brother Darius, if you could tap back in like on another stream, I blocked you because I thought you were trolling, man. So we just had
Why you think he was trolling? He just suspicious.
yeah, because that noise that was in the background, and yeah. So if you could tap back in and maybe in another way, I don't know if I can unban somebody. Let me look and see if I can.
Have you did a show on this already? The whole Are We Americans?
No, I will. I will do one. Oh, matter of fact, I unbanned you, Brother Darius, so you can tap back in. So tap back in. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and you can come back and we can hear what you have to say before we close out. But I think that's a good conversation to have, because I think when you start talk about Are We Americans, I think there's more than that. When people make that claim, there's more that comes to that than just one's nationality. So yeah, something to consider. But we would say that for a show. We probably will do that on Saturday. And just to make you all aware, on Tuesday we're going to be doing a show on queer Pan-Africanism, and it's queer Pan-Africanism. So y'all definitely make sure that you tap in, because I think that's a conversation we're going to want to have. And I'm doing some work to try to get some brothers and sisters who are members of the queer and LGBTQ community to be part of that conversation.
Oh, are you in touch with any queer Pan-Africanists?
Well, I had a conversation with a sister who's not a queer Pan-Africanist, but she has some students who are queer.
Okay, but they're queer, but they're not necessarily queer Pan-Africanists.
That is correct. But I would argue that so once again, we're just gonna save this for Tuesday. You're not gonna get me this time. We're gonna save it for Tuesday, Mufasa. We're gonna save it for Tuesday.
No, yeah, I'm interested in that. I saw that.
Yeah, so we're going to save that for Tuesday. I think we're going to have a great conversation, a great show regarding that. Many people may be unaware what queer Pan-Africanism is. And so we can even part of the question that we're going to be asking is queer Pan-Africanism Pan-Africanism?
Have you made it to Africa yet?
No.
Yeah.
I've been a lot of other places, but it's like always something that comes up. I was supposed to go, but then COVID hit and.
Nah, yeah, you'll make it out there.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to make it this year, to be quite honest with you.
Where you want to go?
I'm planning to go to Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like Nigeria more than Ghana.
Okay. Yeah. So
I know, Marie, you kind of down on Nigeria though.
I mean, like if I wasn't going to live in Sierra Leone, I would live in Nigeria. I would. But I don't know. Maybe I should just go back and visit, and maybe I'll have a different feeling. But I don't want to do that yet. I want to go to Guinea because I don't know if you know, but my fifth great grandparents, we did a family tree. Well, they've been doing my family tree a long time, and I just found out about it. But on my dad's father's line, we found out my fifth great grandparents were born in Africa. And well, my grandmother, she was born in 1795, and she was born in Haute, Guinea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's like a French term, and it's a region where my grandmother, where she was born, and it's Melinke land, Melinke, Mendinka, Mendingo, it's all the same thing. She was born there. And so I actually want to go to Guinea, to that area just to see how it is, because my family told us that we were Mendinkas. And so I do want to go there before I go anywhere else because that's actually my lineage on my father's side. So I do want to go there, but I will make it back to Nigeria one day. But I definitely want to go to Guinea. Well, I'll go to Sierra Leone. I'm going to Sierra Leone this year, but I do want to make it to Guinea sometime soon. So
You know they used to call the whole of West Africa Guinea.
well, no, but this is called Haute Guinea. If you look up Haute Guinea, Haute and Guinee. If you look that up, it's gonna say home to the Malinke people. I'm trying to tell you. I did a lot of research on this, and my family said we're Mandinkas. Mandinkas are in Guinea. So I mean, even
I'm
like
not disputing you or nothing. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah. In my fifth grade grandmother, she told, okay, when they were doing the census, she told them where she was from. She told them, like, she told them where she was from. So, and it was on United States Census records where it says she was born in Haute Guinea, Guinea in 1795. So, I mean, I don't know. I
No,
mean,
no, it's fine. I was just making sure you knew that. Yeah, that like
yeah,
there's maps where that whole area they were just calling it Guinea.
Hmm.
yeah, and I've seen those maps too. I've seen Lower Guinea and Upper Guinea,
Right.
so I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. 'Cause, Walter Rodney's doctoral dissertation was on the history of the Upper Guinea coast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, peace, family. Appreciate everyone for tapping in. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button, thumbs up, and the notification bell. This was you were watching a dual stream between, of course, Lumumba Speaks and Be Quran Network, the Pan African social media short and air. Make sure you're a blessing to the show. Cash App Lumumba Speaks. We want to make sure we're able to continue to do this, and we're still working to be able to once again monetize the channel. So if you could be a blessing, we definitely appreciate that. Until next time, y'all know what to do. See you Tuesday. Always bet on black. Peace.